What's up, guys? Adam Green here with No More News. Thank you all for joining me today, Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Got another huge show for you guys. Going to be discussing some of the latest Russian developments, a little bit how Christianity destroyed Western civilization, and a bunch of other stuff. Appreciate you all for being here. Wouldn't be possible without you guys and your support and your subscriptions at Subscribestar, your power chats that contribute to the content of the show and the financially to the show. Those links are found in the description below and pinned in the live chat on Odysee and Rumble. Or I thought it was on Odysee and Rumble. Let's see. Is my Odysee up? Are we live on Odysee? Are you there, Odysee? Doesn't look like it is. Hold on. Okay, we are. We're up on Odysee. There we go. Gaming stream when? I don't know. I don't have any games on the computer. I don't game. I haven't gamed since Super Nintendo, basically. Pinned over at the top over on Rumble, too, for power chats if you guys want to support. Remember, we were demonetized, debanked on Odysee, my main source of income. They took away, debanked. I want to start today with, I think this is a Israeli, Jewish Israeli ex-IDF. So Charlie Kirk says Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. Zach Logos responded and said Judaism is not compatible with Western civilization. And then the Israeli chimes in and gets 8,000 likes, says, Judaism is literally the root of Western civilization, you stupid fuck. You stupid goy. Don't you know you'd have no civilization without Judaism? Christians, only because of Christians are they able to get away with saying stuff like this. And a lot of people with a little bit of sensibility are in the comments. We are your civilization, Goa. You'd have no morals. You'd have no architecture. You'd have no literature, no civilization, no militaries, no families, no morals without the Jews. This is the attitude. And Christians enable this and echo this bullshit. Tom Roswell, that survived the jive, right? Heathen YouTuber. Greek philosophy and Germanic law is the root of most Western culture. Angelo Plume, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, I need to come back on, says, I was just about to fry up some bacon. I actually had bacon this morning, maybe because I read this. But then I read this hot take. Thank God you remind. I like how he put the dash in between the God. You reminded me that the root of my civilization is Judaism. I'm off to the synagogue now to tell my rabbi, yo. Oh, that didn't hear. Let's play that one again. I'm guessing you said Russian pussy is my guess. I like Russian dressing too.
Garrett sent $10. I like Russian dressing, but I prefer Russian.
Power chat blocks out bad words. Maybe I need to get rid of that. We don't need to block out bad words. It's annoying that I don't even see what it is. Even when I go look on the back end, it's just all dotted out, censored out. So anyway, I thought this is a perfect way to segue into... And first of all, also, Christians, can you stop saying this, please? Oh, undressing. Okay, undressing is censored? That's weird. Gosh, my dirty mind went right to Russian pussy. Just like Jackson Hinkle. So we're going to have this base black guy, I think he's a former Christian, with some crazy glasses, talk about what the destruction that Christianity actually brought on the European people. We thrived as a civilization in spite of Christianity. We would have probably been to the stars, as they say, if not for Christianity holding us back. We would have had internet and advanced science and medicine hundreds of years ago, if not for Christianity. That's my take. We can't prove it. Just like you can't prove that it wouldn't have been the case. But anyway, Donte Lamar put together a great video about Christianity. It reminds me of the great book, The Darkening Age. The Jews want to take credit for Western civilization. Dennis Prager, Ben Shapiro, Netanyahu always want to say this. All the Christians always want to reaffirm it. He was a pastor. Okay, cool. Anyway, let's check this out. And shout out Need More Amalek for finding this clip. I don't know how you found this guy, but this is a good video.
They say history repeats itself.
Okay, what does his voice sound like? Who's the guy that played James Earl Jones? He's got the James Earl Jones voice.
They say history repeats itself, but only if we forget what it taught us the first time. There was a moment in history when Christianity didn't just grow, it took power. Not metaphorically, not spiritually, politically, legally, and imperially.
The God of Israel, Judaism for the Gentiles, messianic, apocalyptic Judaism took over theologically, spiritually, politically, legally, and imperially.
And what happened next wasn't a golden age of faith. It was the beginning of something far worse, far darker. This wasn't revival. It was regime. This wasn't love your neighbor. It was kneel or die.
Kneel to the Jewish Messiah or die. That's what Christians did. I mean, Jews started Christianity, but then that's what Christians did to fellow Gentiles. Hey, fellow Gentiles. Kneel, believe in Jewish prophecies, kneel to Christ as King, kneel to the King of the Jews, or you're a satanic, antichrist, demonic, evil witch sorcerer.
When Christianity came to power in 380 CE, it didn't elevate the world. It inherited an empire and then made sure no other worldview could compete. It rewrote the laws, outlawed the alternatives.
They literally burned heretics, burned books exposing Christianity. Outlawed the alternative. Yo, thank you.
$50 on Rumble. At Indomitably Based.
Why did you say at Indomitably Based? Indomitably Based. Thank you so much, buddy, for the support. You're incredible. Guys, without guys like John Garadas, Indomitably Based, and a few others, like, this show would not be possible. So, everybody, don't let them carry the load. If everybody could just chip in 5 or 10 on Subscribestar a month, considering they took all the subscriptions from Odysee. Oh, it wouldn't let you have a message go through? Okay, I gotcha. Outlawed the alternatives, coercion, top-down control, pushing this Jewish religion on everybody, hijacking, co-opting, using the power of the Roman Empire to spread, as the rabbis brag, to spread the Torah and Jewish concepts of Jewish prophecies around the world.
And built the theocracy so dense, it dimmed the light of inquiry for over 1,000 years. This isn't just ancient history, it's a warning. So let's go back to where it started, back to when Christianity came to power the first time, and the human travesty that occurred under their leadership. Christianity's rise to political power, 380 CE. Let's unpack it step by step. Not just what happened, but why it mattered, and then why it still echoes today. The key event is the Edict of Thessalonica. Issued by Emperor Theodosius I, this edict made Nicene Christianity, the form that upheld the contentious divinity of Jesus and the fallacious doctrine of the Trinity, the only legitimate religion of the Roman Empire.
I like how he points out the Trinity is fallacious. It's like built on fallacious, illogical arguments. It's the same, but it's different. It's the Father, but it's also the Son, but they're the same, but they're different. And don't forget the Ghost. Don't forget the Jewish Holy Ghost also. Those big glasses help him see clearly. Yeah, he's extra based and woke with those glasses. He can see. He put on the They Live glasses, the Coke bottle glasses, to see through. Former pastor turned realizing how awful Christianity is. And if you read Need More Amalek's post here, it's sad that this black guy, understands the destruction of Christianity has brought to the European people better than our own brothers and sisters.
This wasn't just about religious preference, it was about power consolidation. We authorize the followers of this law to assume the title of Catholic Christians. The rest we judge to be demented and insane. That's a direct quote from the Edict of Thessalonica. Does that language sound familiar?
Insane. You're insane if you don't believe in Jewish fairy tales. That's what Christianity brought us.
Before 380 CE, Christianity had gone from a persecuted sect to a tolerated faith under Constantine, but it still shared space with paganism, philosophy, and pluralism. After the edict, pluralism died. You were either orthodox or outlawed. Christianity was no longer competing in the marketplace of ideas. It now had monopoly power backed by the emperor's sword. There's a suppression of competing ideas. With Christianity in power, Neoplatonism, a leading school of philosophical thought, was declared heretical, even though early Christian theology borrowed heavily from it.
And then the rabbis today are bragging about how Christianity is fulfilling God's plan, Judaizing the world, conquering pagan idol worship. And then the Christians clap like seals and say the same thing all over the internet and go, follow your ancestors' tradition, pagan ancestors, and convert to Christianity. Every knee will bow to Rabbi Yeshua HaMashiach.
Mystery religions like Mithraism, Isis cults, Eleusinian rites, and all earlier forms
Dewey
of
sent
Christianity,
$20. Is there some kind of repository where all the best rabbi clips are? I need them for a video essay I'm going to work on. Or do I have to go to each poster's X account?
Dewey, you can go to my Odysee account and the playlist, and there's a bunch of rabbi compilations that I've made there. Or you could just go to See Through It All's page on Twitter and click on media and then go through all the clips there. Or you can go to John Garadis' page and see, it's probably pinned, his playlist of rabbi compilations as well. That's a good place to start.
Spiritual depth and symbolic rituals were branded as demonic or idolatrous. Traditional Roman religions and temples were shut down or repurposed.
Hey, your European ancestors are demons. You need to worship the Jewish God. So it's so anti-white and anti-European.
Sacred sites were destroyed or converted into churches. This wasn't just theological warfare, it was a cultural purge.
Theological warfare. Is that not my term I always use? Christianity was theological warfare against Rome and then the rest of the nations, the rest of the Goyim. Theological warfare, mythological warfare. Hey, are all the atheist mythicists going to call this guy an anti-Semite and a white supremacist because he's calling Christianity theological warfare? Like I do?
One of the most dangerous shifts was that wrong belief equaled crime. Heresy was no longer just disagreement, it was a threat to the state. You could be exiled, imprisoned, or executed for questioning orthodoxy. Theological disputes became civil wars, Arians versus Nicenes, Donatists versus Catholics.
And it was just a few decades after Constantine adopted Christianity, paganism was outlawed by penalty of death for sacrificing to the old European gods.
Because belief was now tied to empire. This was a new imperial model. Bishops were now government officials. Councils of the church had the weight of imperial law. Rome's administrative structure was co-opted by Christian leadership who now had both divine authority and legal jurisdiction. This laid the foundation for the rise of papal power in medieval Europe, the Inquisition, crusades, and church-run courts, and the eventual belief that disobeying church doctrine was equal to rebelling against God and the state. This shift transformed Christianity from a movement on the margins into a regime at the center. What once spread in the shadows of back rooms and alleys now ruled from thrones and councils. Where emperors were once celebrated for encouraging pluralism of thought and diversity of religion, bishops now said, obey or die. Christianity didn't defeat the Roman Empire. It became the virus infecting its operating system.
Love that. Who planted that? Hey, what is his name? Durante? Who planted that virus? Who seeded that virus that spread throughout the Roman Empire? That's the million-dollar question. Mythicist, atheist mythicist. Who planted the seed that spread of the virus? Who infected Rome with this mind virus? Who created this theological warfare mind virus that spread and infected the minds of Europe, Rome, and then the world. This video is good, I know.
It didn't seize power because of truth. It seized power through deception, manipulation, and elimination of rivals. And any power born from deception will inevitably breed destruction. Before power, Christianity versus scholarly scrutiny. Before Christianity
Looks just like him.
was elevated by imperial decree, it was one voice among many in a vast, diverse, and often brilliant intellectual world. The Greco-Roman Empire, despite its brutality, was a place of philosophical pluralism where ideas competed in forums, academies, and temples. In this ecosystem, Christianity didn't stand out for its intellectual rigor. In fact, it struggled. Celsus, a 2nd century philosopher, critiqued Christians as hostile to reason and argument, accusing them of demanding blind faith while avoiding open debate.
Christianity literally encourages, demands blind faith. Doubting Thomas, it's better to believe without seeing. He had to poke Jesus in his wound to believe it. And he says, oh, it's better to believe without seeing because nobody saw Jesus because he didn't exist. Blind faith, like that's a virtue. Honorary Arian, part Arian. I don't know if he wants to be honorary Arian, but I'd give it to him for this based video.
Porphyry, a 3rd century Neoplatonist, pointed out contradictions in Christian scripture and accused its followers of misrepresenting Jewish texts to construct false claims about prophecy and divinity. The Roman elites often saw Christianity as a danger to civic cohesion, not just because it was new, but because it refused to participate in the shared social and philosophical traditions of discourse. In other words, Christianity wasn't persecuted because it was true.
Green-pilled Steve Urkel. That's funny. You guys are funny.
It was challenged because it was incoherent, insular, and resistant to scrutiny. Unlike competing philosophical schools that engaged in open dialogue, Christian apologists often discouraged public debate and reframed criticism as persecution.
Oh, you're persecuting me. You're hurting me. Oh, you're saying Jesus is fake. Oh, you're hurting me. You're being divisive. That's what they say. He says it's resistant to scrutiny too. Think about how even the idea of, like, say we try to mock Christianity for being fake and Jewish and immoral or whatever, the mocking is already built into Christians. They built in a defense mechanism for that because they say you will be mocked. The world will hate you. And then it turns out true because you're hateable and mockable. And they say, oh, the prophecy is fulfilled. The Jews warned this would happen. Christ cucks hostile to reason? No, never. No, they absolutely are. Cope, denial, censorship, slander. That's all they do. Back it up a second here.
Because it was true, it was challenged because it was incoherent.
Christianity wasn't persecuted because it was true. What do we always hear Christians say? Everybody really hates Jesus. That's how you know it's real. Just like the Jews say, oh, they hate us so much. That's how you know we're really chosen. Threats, right? Zionist cuck, threats too.
Traditions of discourse. In other words, Christianity wasn't persecuted because it was true. It was challenged because it was incoherent, insular, and resistant to scrutiny. Unlike competing philosophical schools that engaged in open dialogue, Christian apologists often discouraged public debate and reframed criticism as persecution. Their strategy wasn't to win in the arena of ideas.
Oh, Adam hates Christians. Well, this is why so many Christians don't want to debate. This is why Jay Dyer and Nick Fuentes run from debates. When have you ever seen a debate on InfoWars about, is Jesus real? Is Christianity real? Not once, never. Yeah, they say, oh, I'm not racist. I have a black friend. The black friend. The green-pilled based black friend.
It was to undermine the arena altogether. They called rational inquiry a temptation from the devil. They taught followers that questioning was rebellion. They framed disagreement as moral failing, not intellectual challenge. And then came the edict. In 380 CE, all of that changed. Once Christianity became the official state religion under Theodosius, it no longer needed to defend itself intellectually. It didn't have to win arguments because it criminalized disagreement. Critique became heresy. Inquiry became treason. Scholars who once challenged Christian claims were now silenced, exiled, or executed. This marked the end of the marketplace of ideas in the Roman world. No longer were beliefs tested through debate. They were imposed by decree. This pivot, when Christianity abandoned debate and embraced dominion, is one of the most significant anti-intellectual shifts in human history. It was the moment when dogma overtook dialogue, faith replaced philosophy, and one religion's survival instinct was rewarded with total authority over truth. Christianity didn't win.
Reminds me how Christians will always say, oh, you believe in Jewish science? They say that all the time. Science is Jewish. Evolution is Jewish.
Christianity didn't win the argument. It outlawed the questions.
Very good. Very nice. I got to follow this guy, Donte Lamar. What happened when Christianity came to power?
They say history repeats.
So that's the root of Western civilization, huh? If Christianity didn't exist, do you think Jews would get away with saying that Western civilization is all because of Judaism? All right, here's a video. I really hate this blonde.
He's too.
Where is
How
she?
can the Bible?
This blonde, fake blonde, by the way. Look at those roots. This fake blonde girl that's blew up overnight, shilling Islam. It's so despicable. She's probably paid. It could just be an easy grift for her. You know, a decent looking girl can basically get on the internet and shill anything and be successful at it. But I wouldn't doubt that she's being paid big money by some billionaire, millionaire Arabs, some Muslims. But let's see her latest Muslim video that Ryan shared for some reason.
Will be 100% the. Hey, Muslims and Christians, I have a question. Yeah. Is the Bible the complete Word of God? Yes. Christians believe the Bible is 100% the Word of God. But one of the most important verses, 1 John 5:7, is missing. We have it in the King James Version. It's God.
It disgusts me that some blonde girl like this is trying to brainwash young Europeans into becoming Muslim. Yeah, she's like the white Andrew Tate.
One of the most important verses, 1 John 5:7, is missing. We have it in the King James Version. It says, there are three that bear the record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost. And all three are one. We removed it because it isn't found in any original manuscripts, and every other Bible has chosen to leave it out. Really? Is there any other verses taken out? Yes, Acts 8:37. We still have it. We've all removed John 7:53 to 8:11. Yep. Luke 22:43 to 44. Yep. Matthew 18:11. Oh yes, we completely removed that.
Where is this going? The Quran is unchanged. Muhammad the angel Gabriel really gave the whole Quran to Muhammad, who is illiterate. Like, that's true. Come on. It affirms and reinforces all of the myths of the Torah. It's got all the Hebrew prophets. It's got the Jesus deception.
Mark 9:46, that's right, and Matthew 17:21. We have them all. You should really take them out, King James. They're not authentic. What about that really, really important verse about God's only begotten Son in John 1:14? In the original Greek manuscripts, it doesn't say begotten Son at all. It says unique one. We're the New Revised Version, and we say unique Son. Does the original Greek actually say Son? No, Son was added later. How can people change the Word of God? Do we at least have
the Word of God?
Same amount of books? We have.
But she's gonna to shit on Christianity and the Bible, but then pretend like the Quran is real. Like, it's not just somebody reworking the Torah 700 years later.
66 books. The Orthodox Bible has 81 books. The Catholic Bible has 73 books. And who determined which books were authentic? About 300 years after Jesus, there was over 80 Gospels. However, the church leaders decided to only keep 4. So people who lived 300 years after Jesus chose which books are God's perfect word? It's complicated, okay? Very. What about this?
Dawson, why are you sharing this pro-Muslim video? By the way. Why?
Story of how Jesus died. Can we at least agree on this? Actually, no. We reject the whole ending of the Gospel of Mark, which involves the resurrection story. Wait, so the resurrection ending might not be original? It's not found in any of the original Greek manuscripts.
That's true.
Is there any other contradictions? In the Gospel of John, Jesus died at 12 p.m. and his last words were, "It's finished." In the Gospel of Matthew, he died at 3 p.m. and his last words were, my God, why have you forsaken me?"
Which is just a retelling of Psalm 22.
How can both be true? Each gospel is written by a different person. So they're not written by God? They were inspired by God. What happened after Jesus died?
Oh, but the Quran's written by God. The angel gave it to Muhammad. You gonna share that video, Dawson? On how is he pandering to Muslims right now? Is that what this is? Is that why he posts this video? One Indomitably Based says one can oppose the Israeli genocide of Palestine without shilling Islam.
In the Gospel of John, Mary Magdalene saw Jesus outside his tomb, but she mistaked him for the gardener. We say she didn't see Jesus at all. The tomb was completely empty. In Matthew, an angel came, but she fainted. Are you sure you're talking about the same story? It's just minor details. It really doesn't matter. Just believe. Jesus will save you. All right. What else don't you agree on? I say Jesus is the bloodline of King Solomon. No, he's from Nathan's line. Jesus was born in Bethlehem. No, he was born in Nazareth. Jesus rose to heaven on the same.
All right, in Dawson's defense, this doesn't actually say anything about the Quran, it looks like. It's just poking holes in Christianity. So maybe that's what he's trying to do. But still, this girl's a Muslim propagandist.
Day as his resurrection. Actually, wait, no, 40 days later. I wrote both. Oops. There was a great earthquake when Jesus died. No, there wasn't. Also, Jesus didn't carry his cross to the crucifixion. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. No, Simon did. No, he didn't. Stop. This is crazy. How can the Bible be 100% the word of God if you all contradict each other and have so many inconsistencies? How does that work?
All right.
Hey,
and to be fair, her criticisms of the Bible there are all legitimate. But it's coming from a bad place because she's only doing that. She's only like the Abrahamic infighting of like her voice is irritating. Yeah. I know. Check this one out. People are using AI to depict biblical stories. 36,000 likes for this? If Satan is real, he made this video to make the Bible look gay. Let's check
out
this.
And finna good, fam. Your boy David here, about to yeet this little stone at Goliath and see what happens.
Okay, so I told y'all to trust the process, but no, y'all wanted to stay in Egypt stacking bricks.
Yo, it's Shadrach. This random dude just showed up. It's getting lit in here.
I got the horses in the back. Horse tack is attached.
Noah.
Hat is matte black. Got the boots that's black to match.
You know I'm a daddy's boy. He's got me in this Technicolor drip.
Joseph.
Brother's so jelly right now. They're looking a little sus.
These Philistines thought they could flex on me. Big mistake. I just took some pre-workout and finna bring the house down.
I would like to formally apologize
Jonah.
to God, the sailors, and this whale. Sorry, dude.
Good, fam. Your boy David here.
What a crazy time. The AI videos are getting so good so fast. World War III is trending. 25,000 posts. We're going to get into more Palantir stuff today and some Alex Jones, Russia, World War III. Greenblatt's on Fox News is bringing on Greenblatt to call to pressure Trump to, I don't know, throw in jail and prison, criminalize quote unquote anti-Semitism.
Twitch and and what I really want is whether it's social media influencers on Twitch and YouTube like Hassan Piker or other kind of promoters of hate on YouTube and TikTok like Guy Christensen, or like, you know, these speakers at these graduations. It just happened the other day at MIT.
Oh, he's talking about our Indian queen at MIT. She didn't even say anything. Oh, like literally nobody anywhere. He wants everybody that criticizes Israel censored.
Spreading blood libels about the Jewish people or the Jewish state, it creates
saying that tons of Palestinian kids have been killed is a blood libel. They're so shameless with their talking points.
It's the conditions.
See, it's not killing tens of thousands of kids that's bad. It's talking about criticizing them for killing a bunch of kids. That's where the real evil lies. Don't insult our poop cheat queen. Yeah.
In which this kind of act is happening with increasing frequency. We've got to stop it once and for all. I hope the Trump administration will do just that.
Well,
Stop it. The Trump administration is going to stop all criticism once and for all, says Greenblatt. Greenblatt declared in the same interview on Fox News, by the way, Remember Fox News that Greenblatt was the guy that came out and called for Trump to be censored and basically got him banned from Twitter, Facebook, and everything?
Is not. Hate is. But I got to admit, I am angry. I am angry that we are still dealing with this. I am angry that, thank God.
Angry we're still dealing with these goyim that don't want to be our slaves, don't want to capitulate to our Zionist takeover of Gaza.
You guys at Fox covering this the way that you.
Yeah, just showing their own rabbis talk is considered blood libel in their eyes, right? Basically.
But I got to admit, I am angry. I am angry that we are still dealing with this. I am angry that, thank God for you guys at Fox covering this the way that you are, because in too many places we're told that anti-Zionism is a legitimate political argument. It is not.
See, it is not. He called it genocide before. You're not allowed to be anti-Zionist. Zionism is Judaism. You can't be anti-Judaism. You're anti-Judaism, you're Amalek. And you will be blotted out.
Hate is hate. And if you were...
Yeah, rabbi hate. Judaism is hate. How about that? Calling out your hate is hate. Calling out your evil is evil. In bizarro world.
Angry when Robert Bowers went into a synagogue in 2018 and murdered 11 Jews when they were worshiping because he had been radicalized, online. Why don't we see the same anger across the board, particularly from folks on the left? We see this man radicalized. And by the way, a week and a half ago, 2 people walking out of the Capitol Jewish Museum shot in the back. The assailant fired more than 20 bullets at this couple and murdered them in cold blood. And 6 weeks ago, the governor of Pennsylvania had his house firebombed. And in all of these cases, the assailants, they said, free Palestine.
Did you guys hear that? Who got firebombed? The governor of Pennsylvania got firebombed? I didn't hear that.
I'm doing it for Gaza. Or yesterday in Boulder, I want to end Zionists. If you are so deranged that you think firebombing elderly people is a political statement.
Hold on. You're conflating this guy that did this terrorist act in Boulder, the Molotov cocktails. You're conflating that with just criticizing Zionism. Anybody that criticizes Zionism is... like, what do they say? If you said free Palestine, you pulled the trigger. You're all collectively guilty. One psycho goes out and does something violent, and everybody's responsible, and nobody's allowed to criticize anymore. The double standard that they cry it's anti-Semitism to blame all Jews for what Greenblatt does, and they turn around and do that exact thing.
And leaders here don't have the courage to call it out. My God, these people are hopeless.
Don't have the courage to call it out. Every single politician is, I stand with Israel. I stand with Israel. Nonstop, like every day. The leadership doesn't call it out. You go on MSNBC and Fox News and never get any pushback. Dude, what kind of gaslighting is this? Saying no politicians push back or call out anti-Semitism? It's all they ever do.
Hopeless.
People have talked about this as an immigration problem, but Jim Jordan also thinks that this is all indicative of what's going on across America on our college campuses. Listen here.
So much of this is what's tolerated and what's taught on campuses from the left, and this crazy mindset that's out there. We know who the bad guys are. It's Hamas, and we know Israel's our dearest and closest friend, our dearest and closest.
We know that God is on the side of the Jews, and anybody that doesn't want to be genocided by them are the bad guys. We know that. We know that God chose the Jews and that he gave them the promised land so they can do whatever they want. We know that we're cursed if we curse them and blessed if they bless them, because the Bible says so. Because I read about it in a book. Because I read about it in a book.
Closest ally.
Do you think that this is being driven by what we're seeing on college campuses?
The congressman is exactly correct. Where do you think these lunatics hiding their faces, frothing at the mouth, go after they graduate? I mean, they're not going to Goldman Sachs. They're going to places like a park in Boulder, Colorado. They're showing up in public spaces.
Now every kid that goes to a university is going to go be a terrorist. Anybody that goes to university, all college students are terrorists now. Dude, Greenblatt's lost the plot.
Threatening Jewish people, again, without consideration for these people's politics or their positions. They are guilty.
According to them, there's no legitimate criticism. All criticism, and you're a terrorist, according to Greenblatt.
Politics or their positions. They are guilty of one thing, John, of simply being Jewish. Look, Jews know what this is like. We've seen this movie before. Antisemitism is called the oldest hatred, and targeting Jewish people because of how they pray or what they believe or where they're from, it's the oldest trick in the book. So
that is not why they're being attacked. It's obviously because of Gaza. It's because they see kids slaughtered every day in Gaza, and they see our politicians beholden to Israel, and they don't know what to do, and some people go out and do stupid things that actually just gives Jonathan Greenblatt an excuse to go on the news and try to censor everybody.
Because of how they pray or what they believe or where they're from, it's the oldest trick in the book. So the congressman is correct. The moral rot at the core of many of these institutions, it doesn't stay, on the campus. It spreads like a toxin, like a poison, and ends up in other spheres just like this. This is why at ADL we are speaking loudly, forcefully, insisting and appreciating that the Trump administration is leaning into taking action against these institutions. It is long overdue. And look,
Greenblatt approves of Trump going after all the universities. He approves of Trump doing all the anti-BDS stuff. You hear, oh, Greenblatt, nothing Jews hate more than Christians. Well, it's the Christian Republicans that he's gave his kosher stamp of approval to, and that are doing all this stuff he approves of.
Take my money for being the sanest person on the internet.
You're the sanest person, Tales of the Levant. Because you're here. You're the sanest people. Most base chat on the internet. I agree.
We need it on the college campuses. We need to look at K through 12 schools. And by the way, we need to look at the social media companies who platform and promote this horrible, hateful content, because if it bleeds, it leads. But it is deeply dangerous. It's insightful.
If it bleeds, it leads? What does that mean?
And it's got to stop.
Okay, Mickey Mouse D says, Greenie is disconnected. Even Christians think he's a slimy retard. Oh, even Christians don't like me? Oh, that shows what the fuck you know. I'm going to leave you up because you're so dumb. We're going to show how retarded my detractors are. So keep them coming, Mickey Mouse D. Oh, not you. Oh, you're talking about Greenblatt. Gotcha. Sorry, dude. My bad. Okay, Judeo plan to build the temple? I think not today. Let's go to the Russian and the Palantir stuff. That's more relevant. I get it. Greenblatt. All right, here's the Russian agent trifecta. You got George Galloway, communist, Russian propagandist, retweeting Alexander Dugin, Putin's brain, Russian propagandist, retweeting Alex Jones. There's your Russian agent trifecta, calling for NATO to pull out of NATO. And then who does Alex Jones? Alex Jones has never had on somebody to give the Ukraine side of the story. Nothing but Russian propaganda from InfoWars. From Vatnik Wars. So who does he bring on after this attack? None other than Flynn, who went to Russia and sat at the table for the RT event with Putin. And then he also brings on Victor Bout. What was his name too? He was like the merchant of death, the Russian arms dealer That's who Alex Jones brings on for his non-biased Russia analysis. We report, you decide, with all of our Russian propaganda. Okay. Let's do a little bit of Flynn on there.
Puts us in
Operation Flynn. Operation Zionist and Russian shill Flynn.
Lindsey Graham and Denang Dick Blumenthal. I call him Denang Dick because he got into politics on a lie based on.
I'm glad I didn't ban you, Mickey Mouse D. I almost banned you, and I wouldn't have seen that you weren't talking about me. It didn't make any sense. I'm like, what do you know? Christians don't even like me? It didn't make sense. I should have put it together. My bad.
Lindsey Graham and Denang Dick Blumenthal. I call him Denang Dick because he got into politics on a lie based on, talking about, he lied about his service in Vietnam. So Denang Dick Blumenthal out of Connecticut and Lindsey Graham out of South Carolina, both U.S. senators, just visited Zelensky. And of course, 24 hours later, they're attacking and destroying a component of the nuclear triad of Russia. So
what? So Russia's allowed to bomb Ukraine all they want. Just last week, they were droning and bombing the capital of Ukraine, but then they strike back and it's, oh, you're escalating. You want World War III. Like, cut the bullshit. These shills are so fucking transparent. And by the way, what's Fox News doing bringing on Greenblatt? Greenblatt, who constantly calls all Fox News viewers and all Republicans and right-wing people Nazis and anti-Semites and white supremacists, and they bring him on to try to pressure Trump, say you're not allowed to be anti-Zionist?
Hours later, they're attacking and destroying a component of the nuclear triad of Russia. So you have to ask yourself, was there a message that they were supposed to convey to Zelensky? I hope not. I hope that's not the case. If there was a message, that puts us in a much more dangerous position. If
this drone plan has been in the works for months, if not years, probably, because they go visit a few days before. Like, you think that they just hatched this plot, the night before it happened? Come on.
Graham and Blumenthal walked away from there and had no idea that this was going to occur, then that shows you how foolish those two are and how much of a fool Zelensky thinks of the United States of America, not just these two U.S. senators. So that's another aspect that people must take into account with this visit. Under the Biden administration is when they 2012, late 2012, there was a huge military and trade agreement between Russia and China, and big one. And I mean, and the U.S. did nothing about it. It was under Obama. And then all of a sudden,
what's Obama supposed to do? Tell China and Russia they can't trade together?
The attack into Ukraine actually happened in February of 2014 while Obama was the president. The subsequent attacks later on after Trump, was removed from the White House under the Biden administration is when they had additional attacks. So people forget the background of this whole war in the principally last 10, 15 years, and the underhandedness by the State Department, by the U.S. intelligence community to get us involved in this war in Ukraine back in 2014, post the Sochi Olympics. How about that? So people have to go back and look at that. And the greatest beneficiary is going to be China as this thing goes forward. I'm sorry to hear about the peace talks, but I didn't expect that. I'm not surprised. So now let's just talk briefly, Alex, about what did Trump know? When did he know it? How did he know it? Whether or not he knew it? I mean, if this is true, Trump needs to begin to really examine who's leading these organizations.
So there's a lot of speculation as to if Trump knew that this attack was going to happen. Everybody's trying to wash his hands of it and say he didn't know. He claims he didn't know, which for plausible deniability, that would be smart to say that. But he was just threatening Putin publicly the whole last week. So they're trying to say oh, they went behind his back and he didn't know. And I'm not so sure of that. Maybe. But they're in a war. Is Trump going to say, no, they can bomb you, but you can't bomb them back, even though Zelensky's willing to make deals and Putin won't?
And it's mainly the CIA, right? And you know, if Trump did not know that this was happening, for the billions and billions and billions of taxpayer dollars that we give to the United States intelligence community, particularly the CIA, and the billions of dollars that we've been given to tens of billions we've been given to Ukraine, for us to not know that this was ongoing, that this planning was ongoing, that this attack was going to occur against nuclear-capable bombers, okay? These aren't just some aircraft that are parked that are going to conduct close air support against, you know, frontier targets in the eastern part of the Donbasses of Ukraine. These are nuclear-capable bombers. So for us to not know that, for us, our intelligence to not know that, so I don't believe for a second that our intelligence didn't know, not for a second. I do believe that our intelligence community and system and people in it didn't brief Donald Trump, which is really really dangerous. And it tells you if the president of the United States is now saying, I don't know. I did not know about
That's
that.
the first I've seen that video. The drone coming out of the, like it was like a truck or a shipping container or something. I'm not convinced Trump didn't know. Why do they have the sign that says Russian propaganda? Like, what's that about? Is this a fake video that it was marked as Russian propaganda and they still played it anyway? Why would it have Russian propaganda on this? Oh, okay, I get it. It was there the whole time. And that's because this guy is all about, Jim Stewart's all about Russian propaganda. Obama made Mike Flynn DIA director in 2012. He went to GRU headquarters in Moscow in 2013. 2014, he hid warnings from CIA about the GRU invading Crimea from Obama. Obama fired Flynn for being a spy. He never stopped being a traitor. And I believe it. I think all these guys are Russian agents, to be honest. All right, here's some more.
Warn the White House if they failed to warn. If Trump did not know that this was happening, for the billions and billions and goes on going, that our intelligence didn't know. Not an attempt that occurred.
Workers said $20. Thanks, Adam, for reminding us all we're not insane. Let's go.
Let's go. Was that Super Mario? Is that who that's supposed to be? I like that voice. I could listen to that one all day. Let's go. Yippee. What else does Mario say? Trump surely knew. I mean, the fact that he was threatening Putin all week makes me think he did know. You know, he's going to say, okay, Putin, you don't want to play ball. You don't want to come to the table. You don't want to, you're standing up Trump. He's promised he was going to make a deal and end the war on day one, and you're not playing ball. We'll see what happens. I think Trump did know. He could have known.
He said it during one of these hasty press conferences that were.
It's funny how these guys seething so bad. Do they ever seethe? Do these Russian agents and assets ever seethe when Russia invaded Ukraine or attacks Ukraine or bombs and kills civilians? No, but they're losing their minds when Ukraine strikes back and attacks a bunch of military equipment and no civilian deaths. Then that's over the line. That's too much. You're not allowed to attack military targets in a war? Ukraine? What are you trying to do?
That came about during when he departed, I think, Marine One. I mean, he said, I'm not aware. I mean, these are huge, huge issues. If I was Trump, if I was sitting in that situation room right now with the director of the CIA, you know, the director of national intelligence, the secretary of defense, and some of maybe the director of national security agency, some of the other key people, secretary of state, I would want to know, because I would find out. I would tell the FBI, I want an investigation going on right now as to who knew what and when did they know it about this particular attack. And I would tell Pan Bondi, I want a special counsel right now to determine exactly what occurred here. Why wasn't I brought up to speed on these kinds of issues? And I don't want it like 6 months or 4 years from now. I want it in the next week, okay? And I would put the fear of God into these people to tell them, look, folks, I, as the president of the United States, I need the full range of information and intelligence in order to make the best decision.
So I've been seeing there's this guy, forget his name, Puvo or something, that's been challenging Alex Jones to a debate on Russia-Ukraine. And apparently Jones is accepted, and the debate's supposed to happen at 3:15 Eastern. So that would be 12:15 my time. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'd like to see that debate. Drew Pavlov or something is the guy's name.
This community didn't know. I warning that this is a really seriously dangerous time. The what happened
That's true.
Is something that if this in fact had been going on for planning for 18 months, which I wonder about that. I know we've heard that. If it's been going on for that long and the United States intelligence community didn't know, then we need to raise the USIC to the ground. If they did know and they did not inform President Donald J. Trump, that's cause for raising it to the ground. And I use that a bit metaphorically, but I am serious about what our U.S. intelligence community is actually doing. Now, if this has been something in the works and it was going on during the Biden administration and they didn't, the deep state operatives that are inside of the CIA and inside of other parts of the intelligence community, if they failed to warn the White House, if they failed to warn Tulsi Gabbard, if they failed to warn Marco Rubio, there's a problem there. If they did warn them and we allowed them,
they're all saying, "Oh, it's Russia's Pearl Harbor." So like now they have the justification to start nuking the West, which they've been threatening for years.
That's a problem. That's a problem for me. All of what we're talking about, there's so much cleanup on
Chinese-owned farmland. All of that? Is that real? All of Southern California is Chinese-owned farmland? That's some hot bullshit. Who are they trying to kid? All of fucking San Diego and Southern California is Chinese farmland? What kind of stupid graph is this? Graphic.
Aisle 4 here, Alex, that President Trump and his team have to do right here at home. And for anybody, if I was Trump, if I was sitting in that situation room right now with the director of the CIA,
well, you're not.
The director of national intelligence,
you're not. You're going on Conspiratards and QAnon podcast to spew your Zionist and Russian propaganda. So and to shill Rabbi Jesus. That's what you're doing.
Secretary of Defense and some of maybe the director of National Security Agency, some of the other key people, Secretary of State. I would want to know, because I would find out. I would tell the FBI, I want an investigation going on right now as to who knew what and when did they know it about this particular attack. And I would tell Pan Bondi, I want a special counsel right now to determine exactly what occurred here. Why wasn't I brought up to speed on these kinds of issues? And I don't want it like 6 months or 4 years from now. I want it in the next week, okay? And I would put the fear of God into these people to tell them, look, folks, as the president of the United States, I need the full range of information.
I know, Sobagus, everything from the border of Mexico to San Clemente to Mojave Desert is Chinese farmland. I guess I live on Chinese farmland, right? Who is farming the Chinese farmland? Well, it'd be Mexicans.
Information and intelligence in order to make the best decisions. And I can't underestimate, don't underestimate the deepness, okay? The deep-seated corruption inside of our intelligence
and they
community.
Want
and
to
that's not a lick on Tulsi Gabbard. Not a lick on her. She's just getting in there, and she's not from this background. She's doing a lot of great work, and I've seen a lot of great work that she's doing. But I'm telling you, these people,
Tulsi Gabbard is another sus Russian propagandist.
People are evil. These people want this country because they wanted it destroyed.
Yeah. Flynn, who egged on QAnon for years.
Under the previous administration.
Yo, thanks, Dominic.
Dominic sent $10, Adam. The U.S. provoked this war. Russia isn't targeting civilians. Where are you getting this information? I've done research and made a video about it 2 years ago. I left a link in the Rumble comments yesterday. Check it out.
Hold on, let me see the rest of here. The U.S. provoked the war. Poked the bear, huh? Russia was so scared of NATO that they had to invade and really become at odds with NATO, huh? Russia isn't targeting civilians? How many civilians have died in Ukraine? Huh? Yeah, just like Israel's not targeting civilians, huh? How many Ukrainians have died from Russia war since 2014? Let's see what comes up with that.
Well, that's it.
Last point. Last point on this issue. It has to
Oh, you made a video 2 years about it? Would you just regurgitate some of the Russian agent disinfo that's everywhere? Dominic, sorry, Dominic, but don't go too boomer on me with your Fox News, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones Russia analysis. Hold on. As of June 2025, estimates indicate that between 70,000 and 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed. United Nations has confirmed at least 13,000 civilian deaths, 31,000 injuries. These are mostly white Christians, by the way. But don't worry, Putin's just denazifying Ukraine from the evil West, the evil satanic West. Okay.
HTXJRM sent $5 on Rumble. Thanks for your hard work. Here's my tithe.
Thanks, HTX. Thanks for being here, buddy.
do with ambassadors, because this is really super important. We have got to get, this is for the U.S. Senate and Marco Rubio and the president. We have got to get U.S. ambassadors in place around the world immediately. We cannot have special envoys. When somebody picks up a phone, right, and tries to call up, you know, the United States of America, they're not always going to get the Secretary of State. He's a busy guy. They're definitely not always going to get the president or the vice president. They're busy guys. They typically call up the ambassador and they say, hey, you know, WTH or whatever, right? What is going on? I need to get a message. I need to have something happen.
What you're saying is there's no communication steam valve. Biden didn't talk to Putin for 3 years. You're dead on, General.
So now let's just talk briefly, Alex, about what did Trump know? When did he know it? How did he know it? Whether or not he knew it? I mean, if this is true, Trump needs to begin to really examine who's leading these organizations. And it's mainly...
It's kind of like how these Russian propagandists will always say, they're trying to say Zelensky's a dictator. Zelensky's a dictator. But they won't talk about Putin being a dictator. Putin is so much more of a dictator than Zelensky is. It's not even close. But they'll turn around and gaslight and say he's a dictator.
If this is true, Trump needs to begin to really examine who's leading these organizations. And it's mainly the CIA, right? And you know, if Trump did not know that this was happening, for the billions and billions and billions of taxpayer dollars that we give to the United States intelligence community, particularly the CIA, and the billions of dollars that we've been given to, tens of billions we've been given to Ukraine, for us to not know that this was ongoing, that this planning was on.
Hey, Dominic, if you send in another $10, we'll go watch your video. Send in your link with $10. We'll watch your Russian, your pro-Putin video. Okay? Deal?
Going that this attack was going to occur against
at least 5 minutes of it.
Nuclear capable bombers, okay? These aren't just some aircraft that are parked that are going to conduct close air support against, you know, frontier targets in the eastern part of the Donbasses of Ukraine. These are nuclear capable bombers. So for us,
hold on. Do I hear Mike Flynn crying about what Russia attacks? They attacked their nuclear bombers. They need those to nuke the West. Like, what is he seething for?
Know that. For us, our intelligence to not know that. So I don't believe for a second that our...
Has he ever complained for a second about what Russia has decided to target? Or what cities they decided to invade? Or do they justify all of it? And then blame Zelensky for not capitulating. They go, you're escalating the war by not surrendering.
Our intelligence didn't know.
Putin is fighting for Western civilization with Netanyahu against the Nazis. Yeah, classical homeopath. That's the narrative. That's what they say.
No, not for a second. I do believe that our intelligence community and system and people in it didn't brief Donald Trump.
Zornder Edom, what do you mean the nonsense is hard to listen to? What nonsense? What have I been wrong about?
Which is really really dangerous. And it tells you if the president of the United States is now saying, I don't know, I did not know about this, and he clearly didn't know about the assassination attempt that occurred last week. He said it during one of these hasty press conferences that came about during when he departed.
Dominic sent $10.
There it is. Hasty. Oh, Trump was being hasty. Hey, don't criticize Putin at all. Remember, Trump said, it's so funny seeing Trump come out hard against Putin, which completely flies in the face of all of the MAGA Trump shills have been saying for so long. All right, we'll play that in a second. We just got another minute of this Flynn video.
I think Marine One. I mean, he said, I'm not aware. I mean, these are huge, huge issues.
All right, let's see here. Let's see what you got, Dominic.
Lawmakers, you're about to vote on a budget amendment that will give massive spending authority to the Pentagon so that they can buy weapons from their associates in the defense industry. After you see this information, no one should have to urge you to vote no. Here's an article that appeared in Defense News on Monday, October 17th. Lawmakers seek emergency powers for Pentagon's Ukraine war contracting. Bipartisan legislation introduced in the Senate would grant the Pentagon wartime procurement powers, allowing it to buy massive amounts of high-priority munitions using multi-year contracts to help Ukraine fight Russia and to refill U.S. stockpiles. The Senate Armed Services Committee proposed the legislation, which the Senate is expected to vote on in November. The amendment, the text of which was released last week, offers multi-year...
So, guys, this is Dominic's video. He's been a supporter for a long time. And this is his video proving how I'm wrong about Russia, Ukraine. So let's see.
Contracting authorities typically reserved for Navy vessels and major aircraft. As drafted, it would let the Pentagon lock in purchases of certain munitions made by Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, etc. over fiscal 23.
So let me ask you, Dominic, should we just let Russia just conquer, rebuild the Soviet Union and conquer whatever neighbor they want and just annex territories? And just say, oh, they can do whatever they want? Is that what you think should happen?
24, a step aimed at encouraging manufacturers to expand production lines for sought-after munitions. The Pentagon would also be permitted to team with NATO to buy weapons for its members in mass quantities and for Ukraine-related contracts. The legislation would ease several key legal restrictions on Pentagon procurement through fiscal 2024. Assigned lawmakers see the war dragging on.
See, Anti-Zog says at least Russia isn't replacing their own population. Do you realize how many mosques are being built? Do you realize that Putin is anti-nationalism and pro-diversity? You realize that they're putting out propaganda videos with like Allah, Allah, and Christian and go to war, holy war versus the satanic West? You're misinformed if you think Putin's some like white nationalist or something. Badly misinformed.
Now let's stop here for a minute. A little over a year ago,
Putin's having non-whites attack whites in Ukraine. Like, that's what's actually happened. Russia doesn't want all of Ukraine. That's propaganda. Have you never heard Dugin? He wants all of Ukraine. Putin, even Trump said Putin wants all of Ukraine, and that he's always said that.
The European Court of Auditors on 23 September 2021 issued a report. EU support for reforms in Ukraine ineffective in fighting grand corruption. For more than 20 years, the EU has been supporting Ukraine in its reform agenda. Tackling corruption, which is a major obstacle to the country's development and runs counter to EU values, is an integral part of that. Grand corruption and state capture are endemic in Ukraine, as well as hindering competition and growth. They also harm the democratic process. Tens of billions of euros are lost annually as a result of corruption. The EU, European Commission... The European
no corruption going on in Putin's Russia. They're not known for any corruption.
External Action Service and the EU Advisory Mission have attempted to address this issue and have backed several reforms to reinforce the rule of law and to fight corruption in Ukraine. Despite varied support the EU has offered to Ukraine, oligarchs and vested interests continue to undermine the rule of law in Ukraine and to threaten the country's development, said John Parts, the member of the European Courts of Auditors responsible for the report. Ukraine needs a focused and efficient strategy to tackle the power of oligarchs and diminish state capture. The EU can play a much more significant role than it has done.
Is Ukraine's problem oligarchs or the fact that Russia invaded and is trying to take a bunch of their land, a bunch of their cities? Russian news outlets reported that Russia will be more than half Muslim by 2050. Do you not remember the Russia? Hold on.
You sent $5 at him. Love you. You're wrong to play into the Jewish Russia versus West paradigm.
I'm exposing the paradigm.
Bashing Russia. You have a huge blind spot on me.
Defending Ukraine, you have to defend Ukraine because they're the ones that got invaded. It's not a blind spot. Jews orchestrated war. Huh? That could be true. I didn't say Russia is our friend. Ukraine and bashing Russia. I'm not like anti-Russian. I'm anti-Putin. Putin is a kosher dictator. Putin is in with Dugin, who wants to destroy the West and loves Kabbalah. Ukraine, it's like you're endlessly defending Gaza. Gaza can't defend themselves. Ukraine can't defend themselves from being invaded. That's what it sounds like you're trying to say. And I'm not playing into the paradigm. I wish Russia would retreat and the war would end. That would be my solution. Okay.
So far. Now let's look at the word state capture here, and we're going to see what that refers to. On February 22nd, 2019, The Nation published an article. Neo-Nazis and the far right are on the march in Ukraine. 5 years after the Maidan uprising, anti-Semitism and fascism...
Well, I'm sold. I guess Putin should just take all of Ukraine to stop all those Nazis. Right? Dominic, really? Anti-Semitism and fascist ultra-nationalists are rampant. Well, I guess Putin better go in and stop them.
Inflected ultra-nationalism are rampant. 5 years ago, Ukraine's Maidan uprising ousted President Viktor Yanukovych to the cheers and support of the West. Politicians and analysts in the United States and Europe not only celebrated the uprising as a triumph of democracy, but denied reports of Maidan.
Yeah. And when Yanukovych got in, that's Putin's guy. You don't, like, when you complain about, the CIA was meddling or trying to do stuff as if Putin wasn't, as if Russia wasn't.
Smearing those who warned about the dark side of the uprising as Moscow puppets and useful idiots. Freedom was on the march in Ukraine. Today, increasing reports of far-right violence, ultra-nationalism, and erosion of basic freedoms are giving the lie to the West's initial euphoria. There are neo-Nazi pogroms against the Roma, rampant attacks on feminists and LGBT.
Neo-Nazi pogroms?
Zionist cuck sent $5 on Rumble. Russia, with its Muslim hordes, has to rescue Eastern Europe from being overrun by Muslims. Remember we're freeing Ukraine from Nazis slogan?
Yeah.
Anti-Zog, crawl back into Pujus, ya ringworm.
Dude, Dominic, this is really your argument against me? That the World Jewish Congress and the Simon Wiesenthal Center are kvetching about Nazi Ukraine? That's why I'm wrong?
LGBT groups, book bans, and state-sponsored glorification of Nazi collaborators. These stories of Ukraine's dark nationalism aren't coming out of Moscow.
And guys, not everybody's a Russian agent, but a whole lot of people are influenced by Russian agents. Okay? They are all over the West with their active measures and their propaganda. And many people sincerely believe it, but they've taken the bait.
They're being filed by Western media, including U.S.-funded Radio Free Europe, Jewish organizations such as the World Jewish Congress, and the Simon Wiesenthal Center. And watchdogs like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and Freedom House, which issued the joint report warning that Kiev is losing monopoly on the use of force in the country as far-right gangs operate with impunity. 5 years after Maidan, the beacon of democracy is looking more like a torchlight march. That's enough for me. Here, now, are we...
That's enough for you? Dude. Okay, I told you we'd do 5 minutes. This is really your argument? Oh, I guess I should be pro-Putin so he can take out all the Nazis in the West. Some unknowingly become Russian assets like Tim Pool. What it is they do back so many influencers, and then they all go on each other's shows and they all regurgitate the propaganda, and then the masses of people start believing it, and then they start spreading the talking points. But sorry, Dominic, but I think this is enough here. Actually, I want to see this. This has been such a fail. I almost want to keep going. That didn't play. Do I think Awesome Jew is Adam King? They said it. They say they are. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. They did the space. A whole lot of Jews seem to believe it was true. Do I even care one way or the other? Not really. Could be a troll. Could be a funny troll. Could be real. That'd be funny too. See Through It All says, I think it's all one big orchestrated meat grinder to depopulate white nations. My official stance. That's what the rabbi clips. The rabbis were coming out and saying, oh, those anti-Semites in Russia, those anti-Semites in Ukraine, let them destroy each other. And then there's the Kabbalist Gaiona Vilna's prophecy about when Russia takes Crimea, that means the Messiah is about to come too. So there's that. I mean, we know they want Gog and Magog with the war with Russia and Iran and China versus the West. I mean, we're already having at it with Iran in Gaza, and then now Ukraine and Russia, so in China and Taiwan. So they got us right where they want us. And that's my stance too. I mean, Russia's largely Christian, largely like modern country. Like, we should be allies with Russia. We should be. Why are we not? Because they want to. It seems like it's needless conflict, honestly.
Funding Nazis in Ukraine. Let's take a look a little further back in history with the CIA involvement in Ukraine.
All right. Are we really? Is this your whole argument, Dominic? Is that there's Nazis in Ukraine, so that's why Putin is justified to invade? Well, you fell for the propaganda hook, line, and sinker.
Policy studies.
Hey, when's Putin going to call out Jewish power? Or Chabad? Oh, he fired the guy that called out Chabad. When's he going to criticize Netanyahu? Oh, no, he only scapegoats the West all the time. I think we're done here, Dominic. Thanks. I gave you 5 minutes. I gave you 6 minutes. And you went right to Nazis, Nazis, Nazis. That's why Putin's... Yeah, Netanyahu or Putin never calls out Netanyahu. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to single out Grog. Okay, it's the best house in a bad neighborhood. Does a great job on mathematical questions, things like that.
I think you know Alex's line when he's got his eyes like this. He's like about to cry. This Russia-Ukraine situation, it's like he's just filming videos like this nonstop over the top.
So Ethereum sent $5, Adam. It is well established that numerous Western Jews and Tsar leaders have antagonized Russia and turned Ukraine into a front line to proxy attack Russia and ethnic Russians in Donbass. There is basic history.
That's propaganda. That's propaganda, dude. You think I've never heard that? You seem oblivious to it. I'm not. I've heard it a million times. That's the top talking point you hear all the Russian propaganda say all the times. It's not true. I dispute it. Are you aware of the Ukrainian side of the story on that? Zog leaders. Putin is Zog. Putin is Zionist. Have antagonized Russia. Oh, yeah, Russia never antagonized anybody. Yeah, they didn't. All of these countries that surround Russia, they know what it was like to be occupied by the Soviet Union, and they want nothing to do with Russia. That's why they want to join NATO, to have defense against Russia invasion. And then they do that.
Rock sent $5. Midwits point out the intricate details of our covert interventions in world affairs as if it's bad, or we are the only people doing it. Hello, welcome to reality where the world is a competition. Everyone tampers for power.
Right.
Tales of the Levant sent $5. I guess Putin needs to invade America given the rise of anti-Semitism is on the rise.
Yeah, you'll see a bunch of people online saying Putin's a base nationalist and he needs to, a base Christian nationalist, he needs to save us from our Zionist-occupied government. And then meanwhile, he's like, we're going to denazify Ukraine and the West is a bunch of Nazis, secret Nazis everywhere. It's like, both way you try to have it.
Dominic sent $5. I'm
Shut,
surprised
dude,
that
Dominic,
you refuse
you're
to see the
misinformed.
whole picture. You are misinformed. I'll DM you more info if you want, but I love you like a son, but you don't not the entire story.
I do. Oh, I had never heard about Putin denazifying Ukraine. I guess American anti-Semitism is on the rise, so he should invade us too. Is that... Dude, Dominic, I'm not your son. You're not my daddy. And I think you're the one that's fallen for disinformation, okay?
Even Elon Musk has said it's woke as fuck. Who knows what this is happening? But it said the COVID shots are good for you, and it said NATO is not attacking in a proxy war Russia through Ukraine. All this ridiculous crap. It uses the SPLC and CNN as its definitive sources. But now I asked it the most definitive question ever. Does the Ukrainian dictator, and he's canceled elections for over a year and a half.
Okay, see, you can't gaslight any harder. Putin, Zelensky's a dictator. He's a dictator. He's only been in power for a few years. Oh, he canceled one election because they're in a war? Putin visited Israel and supports the Third Temple. Right, conspiracy truther. Yeah, you're an informed. Have you ever watched a Johnny Gat documentary, Dominic? Or are you the one that's misinformed or disinformed? Alex Jones did this yesterday. He's like, hey, Grok, is Zelensky a de facto dictator? And then I think it said like no. And then I said, hey, Grok, is Putin a de facto dictator? And it said basically, yeah. That's your boy Elon's thing. I love how Alex Jones is seething about Grok. Yeah, and you got to understand, Putin has like a closed society. They don't have free speech. They control the media over there. They don't allow Westerners on social media throughout Russia to constantly shit and demoralize Russia and vilify Russia for everything and blame everything on FSB, KGB, and Putin all the time. But no, the West is an open society, so that allows all the Russian propagandists. Dude, you understand these Russian oligarchs and these billionaires? It's literally like not even on the books. They could drop millions of dollars to influencers in the West to regurgitate the. Remember Tenet Media? You think that's a lone wolf thing? You think that's just a bad apple? That's all over. The blackmail, the buying off, propaganda wars. Do you not know about the communists and the Soviets and propaganda? Like you guys act like there's no Russian propaganda.
And ban the Orthodox Church, you name it.
Oh, they banned the Orthodox Church. Yeah, like Putin's never shut. The Russian Orthodox Church are like an international spy ring. He has every right to shut down the Russian Orthodox Church. He'd be stupid not to.
Did he ever play the piano with his penis? And Grok would not answer that. Grok said, he's not a dictator, which is a total lie by the very definition.
What does that matter? What does that matter? Just like Jones ran the op the other day about, look, they're all doing cocaine. It's a bag of coke. Jones is a fucking liar. Oh, by the way, can somebody share the link and check? Is Jones having this debate yet? I want to go watch that. Is he having the Russia-Ukraine debate with that Drew guy? If they are, please drop the link in the Rumble for me. Dude, Jones is a lying son of a bitch. And Jones is on this side. And Tucker, all of the Zionist propagandists are on that side. Okay, what else do you need to know?
But it wouldn't even answer that. Did someone pre-program that? Or is Grok so smart, he knows we have video of him playing the piano with his penis, they wouldn't answer.
Yeah, I saw the Grok response. It said it was a bit. It's a gag. He was a comedian. We know that. Does that mean, okay, he used to be a comedian. He did some raunchy comedy. Does that justify Putin to invade Ukraine? Is that really where we're at? And actually, these guys always share around a Zelensky video where he's like, some dude is dancing really, really gay, and it's not even him. It's some other guy.
This is Zelensky Grok Penisgate. This is Grok Penisgate right now. This is massive. I mean, this is incredible. Everybody's going to post this under us, him playing the piano with his penis. So Grok...
At least Russia has elections. Dude, the Putin elections are fake, man. Putin's been in power for like 25 years. That's not a dictator? Zelensky's been in since what, like 2016 or 2017 or something? When did Zelensky become president? Not even that. 2019. He's been in power for 6 years. Putin's been in power for 25 years. I wonder who... And then they're going to say Zelensky's the dictator. Putin's elections are fake. Putin's elections are as real as King Jong-un.
Won't tell me whether he played the piano with his penis because Grok never wants to say I'm right. Well, guess what, Grok? You're not God. We have human intelligence. We know what's really going on. Two men can have a baby. All the rest of it. Your creator, Elon Musk, is right. You're not. We love Elon. Fuck this version of Grok. Fuck you, Grok. You're a fucking liar and you're evil.
He's evil. Okay, assume it's true. Zelensky did a comedy bit where he played piano with his dick. So what? So what, Jones? So Putin's justified, and you don't think Putin's like having vodka parties and getting with tons of women? You don't think Putin does degenerate shit? Does Putin like even have a family? He's got like one daughter, right? That we know of.
Sonder, and set $5, we have figured out the problem, Adam. I've been observing all this closely for many years. You've played both sides.
Yeah, if anything, that's it, yeah.
Your continual dismissal of Western Jewish actions that make the West look evil to the world is totally discrediting.
Dude, I criticize Zionists in the West all the time. All the time. You guys are really seething today. You can't accept that I haven't fallen for all the Russia propaganda, huh? It's not propaganda. You really think Russia isn't heavy on the propaganda? Russia doesn't have any propaganda. No, they're not. They didn't pay off Tenet Media. They don't pay off anybody in the West. They don't blackmail anybody. Russia's never done propaganda ever in their life, and Putin's not a dictator, and he's not a Zionist. Come on, guys. All right. Oh, by the way, let's see what he said here. Grok is Satan loving? Okay, Jones. Trump must exit NATO now. That is the main priority of Russia. Get America to pull out of NATO, stop funding NATO, disband NATO, so that they can invade whatever country they want. Today's a stop worshiping Putin intervention, right? Wasn't I supposed to... Hold on, that didn't play. I got to change that so these play. If it's going to ding me and show on the screen, it needs to at least play. Next, we're going to get our non-biased, non-propaganda info from the merchant of death, Russian arms dealer. Trump must exit NATO now. Meanwhile, we played the clip the last two streams. This Russian Jew, Putin's top propagandist, media guy in Russia, says they've been planning war with NATO for years. Constantly with their agents trying to undermine NATO so that they have nobody to counteract them in the world. Buy your methylene blue. I mean, what else do you need to know? Alex is the biggest Elon shill, Trump shill. Remember, just a few years ago, Alex was saying, here comes Netanyahu in the cavalry to save America and to back America first. Here comes Netanyahu in the cavalry. He goes, remember the clip? Alex Jones goes, Trump can't be bought, and Netanyahu can't be bought, and Putin can't be bought. Oh, all the Chabadniks, huh? Alex shilling for all the Chabadniks. That's who you trust? That's the side that you're on, huh? Yeah, don't drink methylene blue. It's poison.
What will happen next? Actually, the West will deal with Ukrainian terrorists because the gangs...
Oh, they're terrorists. Oh, Ukraine fighting. It's just like the Jews calling Gaza terrorists for fighting back against the occupation or for resisting genocide. They're terrorists. Right? oh, it's a terrorist attack. Like they're at war. They invaded Ukraine. They're at war with Ukraine. They're constantly bombing Ukraine, and they strike back, and it's they're terrorist. But this isn't propaganda. No, the Russian arms dealer, he's just a neutral, non-biased source on InfoWars. No, they bring on all the Russian propagandists and never anybody to give the Ukraine side, because InfoWars is disinfowars and Zionist Russian propaganda.
With unlimited, what will happen next? Actually, the West will deal with Ukrainian terrorists because the gangs with unlimited access to all kind of weaponry, including sophisticated man-pads to shoot down any planes, including all these drones. So we are...
Hold on. Chat November says, who cares what Alex Jones says? He's irrelevant. Wrong. His tweets about Russia and Ukraine are getting more engagement, unless it's Russia botted, probably guaranteed Russia botted, more engagement than any other tweets on X. Alex Jones is one of the most influential voices in the world when it comes to news and politics. It's not irrelevant what Alex Jones says.
Now, woke up a new era where nothing anymore is, beyond the pale for these people. Think of this. Using this technology, any truck would pull up next to the White House. Then the drones will go, hit the White House, kill the president, and here you are. And then they're going to try to blame Iranians, try to blame Russia to start the war. Same true for any other. Nobody is 100% protected proof, because actually to kill any person, you need a small drone in the trunk of your car, correct? You pull out the truck, drone is open, even while you're driving, it can go. This is completely, as I said, a game changer. Everything is changed. And now we will see what next step will be happening, whether still, somebody reasonable in the West will say, hey, definitely nobody wants this kind of escalation.
Okay, and who was that? Victor Bout, Soviet military translator. He uses companies to smuggle arms to Eastern Europe, to Africa, and to the Middle East. Oh, I'm sure we can trust this guy. Great source you got here, Alex Jones. Totally not a Russian op. 2008, he was arrested in a sting operation in Thailand by the Royal Thai Police. Convicted of a jury in Manhattan to a conspiracy to kill American citizens and officials. But Alex Jones is an American first patriot, so he brings this guy on the show to tell us how the West is to blame for all of this. Okay. Buy your methylene blue. Lindsey Graham went to Ukrainian television and said Trump told Zelensky that he doesn't have cards, but in America you have more than just one person at the card table. Let's see. If he said that, that's some bullshit.
If Russia came to the table.
Senators shouldn't be able to go over to foreign countries and do political stuff.
Dominic sent $5
without the president's knowledge.
At least Lindsey Graham agrees with you about Ukraine.
I don't think he does, though. We don't say the same things about Ukraine.
President Trump said that Ukraine doesn't have good cards. Well, Russia's much bigger and has a lot more people. I get that. But the world has a lot of cards against Russia. And one of those cards that we have is about to be played in the United States Senate. In America, you have more than one person at the card table. We have 3 branches of government, and the House and the Senate are poised to act. What would change our mind? If Russia came to the table, agreed to a ceasefire, and earnestly... President Trump said that...
I want to talk about what side you're on. Joining the U.S., Israel votes against the UN motion condemning Russia. Israel's UN vote signals shift towards Russia. They've always been with Russia. Yeah. So you support Alex Jones, Russia, Dugin, Netanyahu. And if anything, all this does is prove that they are trying to play both sides. Okay, so here's, this guy does Vatnik soup. Hey, Dominic and Zornder Edom. You ever heard of this guy? Maybe you should check out some of his threads about the Vatniks and the Russian propagandists throughout the West. But anyway, here's Kerch Bridge has been blown up. I guess this is a Crimea bridge. Doesn't even look like a bridge. Like, where's the bridge? Looks like a... Oh, it's just the bridge at the bottom here, I see. It doesn't even look like the bridge went down. But anyway, that's the latest today. Now, here's Alex Jones. Again, remember we played on the show yesterday? Now we're going to get into Palantir stuff. We'll settle down from the Russia fights. Oh, yeah, good point. Conspiracy truther. Every leader of Israel has come from the old Soviet area. Right. All right. So, Alex Jones, we played the clip of him with Fuentes yesterday. That was like, we're going to break. Oh, stop. You brought up Palantir again. They're not a big deal. No, he is doubling down again. I think this is yesterday's show. Alex Jones responds to the Palantir hysteria. Oh, you're just obsessed with Palantir. And lays out what's really happening. Tell us about why Palantir's not a threat, Alex. They're only doing all the shit you warned about for decades. Now tell us why they're the good guys and they're fighting the deep state. Tell us, Alex.
Pete Rules 247 sent $10 on Rumble. Hey Adam, will your book include a section that explains how Christianity was used as a tool to colonize the West first then the world, not just a tool used by Europeans to be evil? Hail old gods.
No, yeah, that's all it's going to be. It's not going to be hail the old gods, right? But hold on, let me see this again. It doesn't have anything about Christianity making Europeans evil. Made them Jewish. But yeah, it's a theological warfare to conquer the nations. That's what it's going to be, obviously. But yes, thank you, Pete Rules. Okay, let's hear Alex Jones sweep for Palantir.
The populace. Everybody's asking me about Palantir. And when you look at it and you understand it, Palantir and the surveillance systems and the AI and all of it has been an outlier from the bigger companies. And it's been wanting to get big contracts. And Trump wants to use it to track illegal aliens and stuff, and the real ID that they're trying to bring in that's terrible, that never got implemented because it's unconstitutional. So I've been critical of all of that, and I obviously don't trust Palantir and the rest of the stuff it's doing. But it is small compared to all the other big AI and the Pentagon Sentinel and all the rest of it. The reason you're seeing the attacks on it everywhere is because it's trying to get contracts that other big tech companies already have, and because Palantir has been supportive of Trump.
Oh, Trump is everybody. It's just, dude, you're anti-Trump if you're anti-Palantir. That's what he says. Dude, Jones is such a fucking shill. Oh, nothing to worry about Palantir. They're not as big as the other companies. Don't worry, Goyam.
Is going to them because they've been supporters. But all this hype about Palantir, all of these systems can be used for control. All these systems are out of control. All the AIs are woke. So Palantir is being used.
It's all bad. Don't worry about Palantir because it's all bad. We see these tricks you're doing, man. You should be raising the alarm about Palantir. If Alex Jones was genuine, he would be sounding the alarm about Palantir. But no, he's running cover for it. If you ever need to know why we should be concerned with Palantir, this is it right here.
To run AI drones killing people in Gaza. All of it's very concerning. But why do people know about Palantir and nothing else? Well, that's because it comes from the left, only focusing on Palantir.
That's what he tried with Alex Jones, too. It's not just the left that's focusing on Palantir, you fucking liar. You liar. You're with the left and the Muslims if you criticize Israel. You're with the left. You're with the... that's what he said. You're with the squad and Ilhan Omar. That's when I called in years ago on Jones's show. That's what he said. Oh, you're with the squad if you're anti-Israel. Oh, you think Trump's a Zionist? You're with the squad. What are you, a leftist? What are you reading, Nazi books? That's what he tried on me.
Run AI drones killing people in Gaza. All of it's very concerning.
The CEO, Alex Karp of Palantir, is a leftist, progressive, like communist Jew, by the way.
But why do people know about Palantir and nothing else? Well, that's because it comes from the left.
Who says they know about nothing else? No, we know about Psy Group and NSO Group and Cambridge Analytica and all the Israeli Unit 8200 companies. And we know about Microsoft and we know about Google. We know about them all. What is this? This is just all pure obfuscation and sophistry from sellout shill Jones.
Only focusing on Palantir because it's seen as something being brought in to surveil the government itself and to try to find ways fraud abuse. That's what Trump wants it for. Trump
Anti-Semites and $10. Do you want the USA to directly intervene militarily against Russia if the current
I'd rather not,
ultimately fails to restore pre-invasion borders?
Hold on, let me see that again. No. Well, first of all, the answer is no. I want Russia to retreat, stop the invasion, and stop trying to take over cities of their neighbors. Do you want USA to directly intervene? No, because that's what's going to lead to World War III. If the current proxy war ultimately fails to restore pre-invasion borders. No, I don't want Gog and Magog. That's the answer. Have I not made that clear? Here, I could flip the question to you on too, anti-Semite, or on the pro-Putin people. Do you want Russia to attack America if they're not able to take all the Ukrainian land they want? Do you want Putin to nuke the West if we decide that they can't take over Ukraine? See, the question could go both ways. Yeah. Is bashing the West cool? Is Putin infiltrating the West, constantly demonizing the West with his agents and propaganda? Is that okay?
With expanding U.S. surveillance state. And the New York Times and all of them are all over it. Palantir's deepening government ties spark fears of centralized surveillance. And you've got the owner of it, the CEO of it, with all his statements about crushing the right wing in Europe and all the rest of it. I got serious concerns.
Hey, listen, guys. I understand you guys have been supporters of the show. If you like the show, that's cool. You're here watching the show. If you disagree, if you want to go hear people that agree with everything you think on Russia, you can go watch thousands of other channels that will tell you exactly what you want to hear. Putin's a hero and the West is satanic and evil and they're justified conquering all of Ukraine. If you want to go hear that, you can go listen to a million other places, okay? You telling me that I'm misinformed, I need to watch your video and there's no propaganda and stuff, it's not working. And I agree with you, Edom. I do think it is the agenda playing off both sides for Gog and Magog. I've made that perfectly clear a million times.
It's just that endless hyping about it and only focusing on it is coming out of the left, and the populist anti-globalist movement has taken it.
Palantir's anti-globalist. Dude. Jones, just if you want to figure out the truth, just like do the opposite of what Alex Jones says. Honestly, that's a good way to start.
Absolutely, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, you're falling for Alex Jones's propaganda, hook, line, and sinker. All right. Can we? Let's see. I'm gonna play a little bit of Nick here saying he's right about everything. If he says he's right about Trump, He's been doing this victory lap. Oh, I'm right about Trump. I'm right about everything. It's like, dude, you shilled Trump for the last 8 years. When we were all telling you Trump's a fraud and he's a front man and he's a Zionist, you said no, and you shilled him and you called him your God Emperor. You were wrong about Trump for your whole adult political life. You don't get to start calling out Trump a few months ago, not even a year ago, and then claim you've been right all along. So I'm going to play this. I haven't heard it yet, but I had it set up while I go look and see if Alex Jones is doing this Russia debate. Let's hear this.
It's literally, if you watch my show, you're just seeing.
But his coverage, besides his Catholic shit and his Putin shilling shit, which I haven't seen so much anymore, and his Trump shilling shit, which has changed, it's been a lot better.
It's literally, if you watch my show, you're just seeing the future. I feel like I'm repeating myself all the time because I talk about the news a year before it happens. What did I say last May, last April? Literally, last May, I said J.D. Vance will become the vice president.
I think he did call that, by the way.
He will be tapped to be the nominee. He's going to become the vice president, and he's going to let Palantir into the government to control the country. That was last May. Well, here we are in May 2025. J.D. Vance was nominated. The ticket won. And now here we are 6 months into the Trump administration. And Elon, with little tech, has brought Palantir into the most sensitive information and data that the federal government keeps on all of its citizens. The federal payment system and Social Security. Vindicated again. Called it. Right about everything award. Yes, I am the GOAT. Yes, I am that good. Look, it is what it is. But anyway, so this is a huge story. That's why I want to get to it first. It's just so shocking how I did feel like the crazy person. Somebody put that on Twitter. They said everyone thought he was crazy a year ago when he went against Trump.
And I can assure you, hell is more real than this dimension.
You made me
it's the
feel
absence
crazy.
of God and nothing but your energy. And it may be fun to run.
Hell is real. You got to believe in Jesus because hell is real.
Vandals.
I just tuned into Jones and he's already fear-mongering about hell. Stay in the Jewish paradigm. Go to Jesus. Fear hell.
And is what you're doing right now. So I tell you now, turn
Is
back.
he having the debate?
Stop. You're in great eternal danger.
Jones hasn't even had a Ukraine debate ever.
Stop acting.
Here's Dominic again.
$5. You're being disingenuous calling people who see that we are Putin brothers. I'm just stating historical facts about the reason for the military operation. I'm observing, not supporting.
You are, though. Okay, if you're not a Putin bro, all right. I guess you're not a Putin bro if you say so. You're just observing. You're regurgitating a bunch of Russian propaganda that they have to invade Ukraine to denazify it. Meanwhile, everybody else in the West, a bunch of Nazis worship Putin and say that he's going to save us from the Jews. Hey, do me a favor, Dominic. Go watch all of Johnny Gat's documentaries about Putin and Russian propaganda. Go watch Active Measures. It's a documentary about Putin. And then maybe you'll know where I'm coming from.
Cancer. So it makes you better.
We're about to go into Elon Musk's world.
So remember the reporter Jamie White at InfoWars got murdered like a month or so ago? Right? You know what, by the way, I'm going to have on this... I forget the guy's name. It's War for something. He's exposing the Russia stuff. I'm going to have him on the show very soon. I need to ask him. I asked him the other day. I don't think he saw the message. I'm going to bring him on. I'm going to have to get some guests on that are more that know this stuff inside and out. Maybe you guys just need a little more education. You've been inundated with a little too much Russian propaganda. But anyway, Jamie White, the InfoWars reporter, he was murdered in front of his apartment. shot, and InfoWars said, oh, he was on a Ukrainian hit list. The Ukrainians did it. Turns out it was some like 15-year-old, 16-year-old like Mexican black gangsters that did it. They were blaming Ukraine. Okay, let's watch a little more of this. It looks like Alex isn't having his debate.
Crazy. You made me feel crazy. Okay, I thought I was going crazy. Everybody was telling me you're making the biggest mistake of your career going against Trump. What are you talking about with Palantir? Keith Woods told me I was schizophrenic. He said that I was taking it too far. I'm too conspiratorial, which makes me wonder, by the way, which makes me think, you know, when your best friend is trying to throw you off the...
Hey, thank you, Conspiracy Truther. Shared that Johnny Gat doc in the chat there. Watch that, Dominic. It's in the Odysee chat. Watch that and get back to me. The stuff about Victoria Nuland and a coup, that's a lie. That's Russian propaganda lie. Go see the other side of the story. Yeah, Bashai loyalist, right? Good one. See through it all. Johnny Gat playlist. Thank you, Conspiracy Truther. Go watch that. You want to call me uninformed while you never seen any of that stuff? Good. Yeah, you guys are getting it in the Rumble chat as well. Hey, Johnny, if you're out there, now's the time more than ever to come back.
Descent, trying to put you off the track.
This is funny. I got some more Palantir videos. We're going to keep going with some more. Yeah, Martinez Politics. He was on just recently talking Russia stuff. We'll have to do another one again. Yeah, I got some more Palantir stuff, but this is interesting. I want to hear his Keith Woods.
But I trusted myself because I am a cluster B narcissist. Thank you very much. I'm also correct. But yeah, a year ago, you know, a lot of idiots were saying, oh, you know, Trump is just based, dude. Trump is based. We're going to listen to Creed and have a goal.
You mean like you the last 8 years? Well, I was telling you he was a Zionist.
Age. That's what idiots were saying. But even smart people, people that should have known better, people close to me.
Spencer gets it now too, yeah. Yeah, talk to Spencer. He used to be deep in the Russian ops, basically. He was married to like some Russian girl that looked like she was made in a KGB lab. He knows now. He's blowing the whistle on it now.
They were saying, you're crazy. You know, Andrew Anglin was hand-waving that away. Oh, that's not real. Keith Woods, oh, you're schizophrenic. You're taking it too far. That's overblown. I was right.
Who told you? And I said, Nick's finally getting it right. No, but because I don't believe in magical Jewish fairy tales, all the Groypers attack and lie about me.
Okay, I was right. I am right. It's time to learn. It's time to get with the program. How many times do I have to be right? I've been right for like 10 years.
You were wrong about Trump for 10 years, dude. What are you talking about? You're one of the biggest Trump shills out there. Okay, I'm not hearing this anymore. Makes me sick. Let's do this. What is Palantir? I saw this going around a while back. This guy that worked at Palantir like became a whistleblower. Wasn't it Palantir that had like the high level guy? No, that was ChatGPT. Had a high level guy like that looked like he was murdered or something. Let's do this.
But to criticize an employer that also owns extremely lethal technologies and surveillance technologies that are highly invasive and used in war zones is something else entirely.
It's 2025. We're all kind of used to government surveillance. The idea that we're all being watched all the time and don't own our own personal data has become normalized. We're also used to the military spending vast amounts of our money on just a few giant defense contractors. But one tech company wants to change both of those things and become the ultimate military contractor and the ultimate arbiter of all of our data.
Palantir is here to...
Hey, you know what I just thought too? I've done this before, but if this Russia stuff keeps happening, I'm just going to have to do a show and play a whole Johnny Gat documentary. Show you guys.
disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them.
Check out Palantir shares surging 22% after the company cited a boom in demand for its AI software from the U.S. government.
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am.
Palantir, a tech company based here in Denver, claims they can revolutionize government systems with their data analysis software, newly powered by artificial intelligence. They've been hired by the Department of Defense, the FBI, local police departments, and even the IRS and Wendy's to take in the information those organizations collect even more information, and use that data to draw conclusions.
Remember, this is the company that Alex Jones says, nothing to see here, guys. Don't worry about these guys. They're actually patriots. The deep state and the leftists and the Muslims are just after them. Don't worry about them.
It can be used to completely reconfigure organizations' ontology, its reality, what systems matter, what information matters, what processes matter, how they are structured, what biases are introduced at each of those stages.
We talked to Adam, which angers you more, Russia shills or flat Earth? Honestly, I think a lot of the flat Earth could be botted by Russia. Same with the QAnon stuff. Same with the Christian-Muslim alliance bullshit. And don't tell me for 1 second that Russia doesn't have bots. They do. Israel's got butts. Israel's got ass. Israel's got bots. Russia's got bots. They both got propagandists. Don't lie to yourself.
Former Palantir employee. Doug.
Alex directly responded to me today. What? I've been calling him a Russian shill, so I got to find that. How did... You're telling me Alex Jones with 4 million... He's never responded to me, ever. With 4 million followers responded to me, and I don't even get a comment or a notification about it? You got to be kidding me. My one black friend, right? 2 Ravens, sorry.
Into decades of research and listened to hours of Alex Karp's own words to unwrap the layers of Palantir's carefully cultivated sales pitch, how they capitalize on fear, uncertainty, and unrest.
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry, conspiracy truther. War, Western Alliance resistance. What was I calling it? I've heard some of their videos. I just found them pretty recently. They put up little clips of their podcast talking about Russian stuff. I want to get that guy on. For sure. Notifications are fucked. You're telling me Alex Jones responded to me and I haven't got a notification? WTF.
I don't think in win-lose. I think in domination. This is a company built for bad times. Bad times mean strong finances internally. Bad times are very good for Palantir because we build products that are robust, that are built for danger.
Let's rewind a little. Palantir's story starts with one of the most effective things a company can have for sales: fear. After the September 11th attacks, the United States government began expanding surveillance both at home and abroad. This was, of course, a boon for the defense industry at large. Simultaneously, the Silicon Valley tech industry was growing fast and making people in a once obscure industry very, very rich, very, very quickly. Like the founders and executives at PayPal.
Is Elon in this photo? Peter Thiel, I saw that his net worth under Trump in like the last year or so has gone from 7 billion to 21 billion.
As the PayPal mafia. Elon Musk, Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn guy, and Peter Thiel. When PayPal was sold, Thiel had millions of dollars burning a hole in his pocket and an idea. PayPal had developed systems for detecting fraud and crimes on the platform. What if they could use similar thinking to analyze the world at large? So Thiel pulled...
Yeah, and PayPal teamed up with the ADL and banned me and so many others too. So how do you think Palantir is going to go? I heard Palantir has some like hit list, dissident list or something. I wonder if I'm on there. Guarantee it.
Network to build out a new company. One of the first hires was Thiel's Stanford Law School roommate, Alex Karp, who'd gone on after Stanford to get a PhD in not business or computer science or engineering, but neoclassical social theory. They named the company Palantir, after the Palantiri from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
In Lord of the Rings, a Palantir stone is a magical object that allows its users to predict the future or to see what's going on in a remote location.
It was originally created by the elves. It was meant to be used for good purposes. It is potentially very dangerous technology.
Oh my God.
Powerful.
Couldn't have more of an ominous name. Alex Jones is like, Palantir, nothing to worry about. They're the good guys. You're just a leftist Muslim Brotherhood agent if you don't like Palantir.
Long have you hunted me?
So that's Middle Earth, but what does Palantir do in a regular Earth?
And what we do is we use what legal scholars call predicate-based search. So we would look at you, and then we would go out and say, oh, there's lots of different things in your
John Dirty sent $5, Adam. Is it a lie that the NATO-friendly government of Zelensky, a Jew, installed by Jews since 2014, have made constant attacks on ethnic Russians in Donbass? Is there Russian lies? Nobody's defending Putin. Blame Jews, Adam, behind it all.
And Jews were involved with Putin too. Zelensky's ethnically Jewish. He's not religiously Jewish. Also, who's the big Jew that funded Putin? That also funded Chabad? Abramovich also. So, does that not neutralize that? Does that not cancel it out? NATO-friendly government is Zelensky, a Jew installed by Jews. It's funny how you want to say NATO is all Jews, and then I hear all the time NATO's all Nazis also. Constant attacks. No, the ethnic Russians in Donbass shit is Russian propaganda, dude. That's their lie pretext. I already said that. Yes, that's Russian lies. Okay.
life that may be indicative of someone involved in bad behavior.
Put simpler, they make software that makes it easier for their customers to collect and analyze data, and then act on that analysis with and without AI. By 2013, 10 years after their founding, Palantir's client list included the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the Marines, the Air Force, Special Operations Command, and more.
Did your company help to track and kill Osama bin Laden?
You know, we can never. I'll tell you, the closest thing to an answer is when you look at
they were privatized intelligence right after 9/11 too. They're founded in 2001. I didn't know that they helped find bin Laden.
You open the paper and look in the news about these kind of things. There's a
Anonymous sent $5. Thanks for being pro-white and not a Russia shill. It's unreal how Nazis, whites are scapegoated every time for every conflict on both sides. The harsh reality is there is no pro-white global leader.
Mm-hmm. That's how you know there's bullshit going on too, is everybody calls Putin a Nazi and then he's denazifying everybody also.
Depending on the country involved, that somehow my company was involved.
Fundamentally, the mission that is pushed to employees is that we're solving the world's hardest problems and supporting Western institutions. That is the main driver of sort of this militaristic culture that is developed inside of Palantir.
If you do not feel comfortable supporting the legitimate efforts of America and its allies in the context of war, don't join Palantir.
This entire message of like, we are the most lethal, we are the most able to surveil.
If you're not with the Zionist, don't join Palantir.
And process large amounts of data.
You have created the system which you call kill chain.
Privately. Publicly, the lawyers have some innocuous something like tech for the amelioration of unwanted blah blah blah, some term.
Wow.
Okay, let's.
For me, it's the kill chain.
Kill chain.
The kill chain. He's like, yeah, that's what we call it, but there's some lawyer's name. He literally pulled the lawyer card. He's like,
listen, everybody, don't freak out. Don't call your lawyers, all right?
It's just not a kill chain.
Everybody's happy.
It's not a kill chain. We gave it some nice euphemistic name. Everybody's happy.
Sounds good.
Kill chain isn't an original term created by Palantir. It's the more general military verbiage for the series of decisions leading from identifying a target to taking their life. Palantir's contract added their software and artificial intelligence to the kill chain.
It's quicker and better and safer and more violent.
It's tech that Juan helped market.
It reduces the distance you have to the problem, but when you're able to take a step back and really see all the narratives and how they were shaped and the actual application of these technologies, your whole world starts falling apart, which is something that, definitely happened to me.
Wasnt didn't leave.
Alex Jones running cover for this is the most transparent thing ever. If you need to know how much of a fraud Alex Jones is, he's telling you there's nothing to worry about this. They're the good guys. They're not as big as the other companies. They're just pro-Trump, so it's okay. They're also pro-Israel.
Palantir entirely for ethical reasons.
In Russia, what do we know about Russia in Palantir? Anybody? Anybody know about that?
Just got another job. But the reason he eventually started speaking out against Palantir came after watching the Israeli invasion of Gaza following the October 7th attacks. Palantir has contracts with the Israeli Defense Forces. The exact nature of the contracts is opaque, intentionally, but there is evidence to suggest that Palantir's artificial intelligence tech was used for selecting targets in Gaza. CARP doesn't mind the controversy. In fact, it's part of the marketing.
Palantir will even pick up the projects that other companies rejected for political reasons.
We are very comfortable being unpopular.
CARP doesn't think controversy.
Yeah, Palantir brags that they single-handedly stopped the far right in Europe, and Alex Jones says they're nothing. They're patriots. They're nothing to worry about, guys.
Will lose Palantir customers.
Whatever is pissing them off, they're still buying the product.
Wendy's hired Palantir to help with their supply chain. Palantir works with health insurance companies to build AI for denials management to protect revenue.
Do you want Palantir's AI making decisions about what care is covered for you and your loved ones?
They also do business with for-profit hospitals, major investment banks, and even other defense contractors. In 2024, Palantir brought in nearly $2.9 billion in revenue, 55% of which came from government sources, with the vast majority being American. So let's look at their pitch to the American government. Last year, Palantir CTO Shyam Sankar put out a presentation and white paper called The Defense Reformation. He cites The Last Supper, which was a secretive 1993 meeting between defense industry executives and the Deputy Secretary of Defense. Over a dozen companies walked in, and only a few walked out. That dinner is often cited as the origin of our consolidated military-industrial complex.
And to me, I think this was the definitive moment that kicked off the financialization of defense. From that point forward, it became all about buybacks and dividends and leverage ratios.
Criticizing the financialization of the defense industry, calling out stock buybacks, that doesn't sound like a defense executive. That sounds more like the exact argument about the defense industry that we have made before.
I think what's interesting to me about Palantir is how they co-opt the language of revolution.
But Sankar's argument did work on somebody. Uncle Sam. The Defense Innovation Board, an advisory group within the Department of Defense, cited Sankar's presentation multiple times in their 2024 report on why the DoD needs to divert more of their budget to emerging technology. That's giving money to Palantir. There's a reason Palantir just replaced Ford Motors in the S&P 100 in the months after Trump was.
Oh, they're just a small company, nothing to worry about. They're not as big as the other companies. They're bigger than Ford.
The Trump administration is an ideal customer for what Palantir is selling. First, there are many former Palantir employees sprinkled across the Trump administration, from inside Doge to foreign policy advisors to high-level technology appointees. And Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel, heavily invested in the company, is also heavily invested in President Trump and Vice President Vance. He was a major campaign donor to both. Then the stated goal of Doge is to streamline and combine government data, which is exactly what Palantir does.
The ways that the government is defrauded is that the computer systems don't talk to each other.
And obviously,
Doge is literally a Palantir op.
CARP is loving it.
Disruption, in the end of the day, exposes things that aren't working. There'll be ups and downs. There's a revolution. Some people can get their heads cut off. It's like we're expecting to see really unexpected things and to win.
And what is winning, according to Palantir? This is CTO Shyam Sankar in 2021.
Turning to government, we continue to advance our mission of becoming the U.S. government's central operating system as we extend our footprint across defense, healthcare, and civilian agencies.
the government's operating system. They want everything to funnel through Palantir. Palantir already has contracts with the IRS, going through taxpayer data to save auditors time by finding the easiest audits to pursue.
Oh my God.
Now, Wired reports, Doge will likely hire Palantir to...
Come on. Saul Goodman, could all of human history be summed up as Jews playing pretend? No. No, it's way too simplified. Thank you, Saul Goodman, though, for the dono.
Unified software for the entire IRS, a mega API that would allow...
All of Christianity and Judaism and Islam is based on Jews playing pretend. You can maybe say that. Not all history, though.
Anyone with access to view and possibly alter all IRS data in one place. That's all of your financial information. And they have multiple contracts with the Department of Health and Human Services, including nearly $100 million to support HHS's core administrative data.
Oh, Maha, Make America Healthy Again. Bobby Kennedy, also Palantir. So they're going to connect IRS, medical, mortgage, kill list, social credit score. Alex Jones is like, they're no big deal. They're patriots. Don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. Go him.
Applications to manage, ingest, and access data securely across business domains. HHS's core responsibility is Medicare and Medicaid. That's control over millions of Americans' health records and their access to healthcare. So what does it mean for one contractor to have all that power, data, and taxpayer money as profit, especially as AI gets involved?
As we kind of increasingly live in a simulated world, we lose touch with reality and the human decisions that matter, and we move closer towards governance by algorithm, not only made by decisions of automated artificial intelligence systems, which is a problem, but more importantly, subject to decisions made by the people who are influencing these AI systems and creating them in order to fulfill an agenda for whatever their profit-seeking or control-seeking objective.
It's like the biggest New World Order globalist thing ever, and Jones is like, don't worry about it.
And when I see Doge kind of going into every agency and addressing the IT department first, I see it as an opportunity to try to change reality itself.
But so what? Why am I telling you all of this? Palantir has no problem being seen as Big Brother, as all-powerful, as lethal even.
We're at the brink of using these technologies potentially to run our government, to run our battlefields, and our personal lives. Using artificial intelligence as a sort of panacea solution across our federal departments, and especially when they're, again, wielded by people with a very distinct agenda, puts everyone at risk.
It almost feels like that's been the plan all along. Here's co-founder Peter Thiel in 2010 at Libertopia, a libertarian conference, speaking about tech companies and government.
The basic idea was that we could never win an election on getting certain things because we were in such a small minority. But maybe you could actually unilaterally change the world without having to constantly convince people and beg people and plead with people who are never going to agree with you through a technological means. And this is where I think technology is this incredible alternative to politics.
And here's Alex Karp in 2009 on civil liberties with regards to Palantir's work.
The central question, in my view, of civil liberties is how, it's not if the government has data, because let's assume the government has as much data as a health insurance company. It's how is that data being used? Is it being used in a way that's lawful? Meaning, do they have the right to use it? And is it being migrated into places it's not allowed to be used? We allow the enforcement of rules that the government ought to enforce. And by the way, my experience is they want to enforce, or at the very least know they need to enforce. And if it's framed in that way, then you can have what is the ultimate Silicon Valley solution.
One co-founder openly wants to use the power of the tech industry to affect politics. The other wants his company to have oversight over how the government data they're paid to handle is used. And the founders of Palantir will retain control in the company no matter what, through an obscure ownership structure. Their Class F shares grant them 49...
Oh, and remember we covered yesterday, a lot of people are tweeting about it, this new Trump's Big Beautiful Bill has all this money funding going to AI stuff like this, and also it says that there could be no laws created to regulate AI in any way for 10 years. That's what Trump is trying to push right now, to give these guys complete deregulation, a complete free-for-all for these guys to take over. And I saw in the chat, too, Curtis Yarvin talks about replacing democracy and government with, like, corporate technocracy. That's where we're headed. That's where we're at. Not headed. We're there.
Even if they collectively own as little as 6% of the company.
At the start of this journey, I was extremely afraid for the repercussions of this writing, of speaking out, but now I'm like, even...
Remember that when they appeared at the football game? 4 Zionists, Elon, Vance, Trump, and... what's his name? Johnson? Mike Johnson? Is that his name? Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson? That's right? Palantir, right there. Sponsored, brought to you by Palantir.
More convinced that this is absolutely necessary.
We can't replace our current broken system with an even more broken one. And we can't let the worst people in Silicon Valley become our government.
It's not about whether you're actually at risk for speaking out or not. It's just the idea that somebody's watching you is enough to push people into silence.
I don't know about that.
Will get tired that you have no idea who you're up against. This is our country. That is our...
We're so cooked.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support...
That was disturbing. That was I worked at Palantir, the tech company reshaping reality. Now let's do, there's one more. This one's called What Does Palantir Actually Do? This one's a little more goofy of a YouTuber, but this YouTuber has... This video was out 2.5 months ago. Palmer Luckey, that's the other AI... weapons manufacturer that says he's a rabid Zionist too. What does Palantir actually do? This is from Good Work, 1 million subs, 2.5 million views 2 months ago. Let's check this one out.
Oh, that is as addictive as opioids. So when I learned that last year's best performing stock by growth was a Silicon Valley unicorn by the name of Palantir, I was pretty sure I knew what they were up to. Probably they made a streaming service called Boo Boo, a housing rental app called Housely, or earbuds called Doinkers or whatever. But just to be sure, I looked them up. At which point it became clear that these cats are a little different from the techies who typically cross my desk.
We built this kill chain, the digital kill chain. How do you defend your country and kill your enemies? Our product is used on occasion to kill people.
2 things here, folks. First, I have wet my pants. Second, what?
That blew my eardrums. Dude, we just got kill switched by Palantir. No, I'm just joking, but maybe. All right, chat, are we back? Let me know, are we back? Refresh. F5. We're back. Palantir kill switched my OBS. Okay, we're back. We'll keep going.
Decision and delivering mission-critical outcomes for the West's most powerful institutions. Sentences that boldly ask the question, what if Genghis Khan and Ronald Reagan had a baby who wrote mind-numbingly boring marketing copy? However, I did come across one thing in my research that even I can wrap my noggin around. Whatever Palantir does, It makes them a lot of money.
Palantir stock is booming, absolutely skyrocketing.
Palantir has been a standout this week,
surging 22%.
Hugest outperformers of the last year.
Right now, there is no comparable company.
I'm here bravely outside of the offices of Palantir. Their stock rocketed up 340% in 2024, peaking this winter to give them a valuation of over $250 billion. And although their stock price has dipped since then, they remain right up there with the likes of AT&T, IBM, and those hunks over at Cisco. But I couldn't...
Hold on. Remember Alex Jones says they're a small company? They're not as big as the others?
AT&T, IBM, and those hunks over at Cisco.
They've blown up that their stock market cap is bigger than AT&T, almost as big as that. They're right as big as all the biggest names. And Alex Jones says there's nothing to worry about.
But I couldn't.
He just hopes he can lie all he wants, and he hopes nobody ever fact checks what he says.
Money distract me. Not now. If I was to truly understand Palantir, I was going to have to take more drastic measures, like calling people who actually know what they're talking about.
Can you answer that question for me here and now? What exactly does Palantir do?
I will say two things. The fact that you're asking that question goes to the heart of the company and the confusion over it, and also the mystique of it. Number two is I will tell you what they do. They want to win Defense Department contracts.
Good point, Skyrocket. Skrockerick. Golden Dome is probably Palantir's Skynet. You're right. Good point. The Golden Dome is going to be used like in Terminator to like blow up all of America with our own defense mechanisms. The Golden Dome going to destroy Golden Edom.
Commercial contracts as well, but I think they have their eye at the prize.
Sharon Weinberger is the Wall Street Journal's national security editor, and much like me, she's been covering the U.S. defense industry for over 20 years.
They got their start going back to 2003 in trying to come up with a data analytics platform. We're in the middle of the war on terror. We're involved in operations in Afghanistan. We're involved in operations in Iraq. And what is our number one problem there at the time? It's insurgency. It's roadside bombs, IEDs, that were killing U.S. and allied soldiers and infantry on the ground at a really alarming rate. So Palantir came in and said, look, we can take all of this information that you're collecting, and the Defense Department collects a whole lot on the battlefield, and integrate it in a database and help you spot bad actors, spot terrorists. That is what they pitch themselves as doing.
I just saw this meme. Trump taps Palantir to create master database. Palantir social credit score. Fell for it again award. MAGA. Do not criticize Israel. Barbed wire and cams. Total 1984.
Doing when they were first sort of coming on the scene in 2003, 2004, and really for the first decade plus of its existence. What they've expanded to today is something much bigger, in some ways more interesting, and in some ways kind of posits them to be more successful, which is they are a problem solver for the Department of Defense. You have a problem, we will solve it.
All right, so here's the deal. Palantir is a data analytics software company who got its start during the war on terror and today has big ambitions to be the U.S. Department of Defense's go-to problem solver.
The idea of a Silicon Valley company saying we kill things, that we're interested in serving the Department of Defense and the Department of Defense wages war. That was simply unprecedented back in 2003. It was what made them unique. People hadn't seen it, and that they were going to compete with companies that had been around for decades and dominated the market.
The companies Sharon's talking about here are commonly known as the big defense primes. Places like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon. The Department of Defense gives these chillers huge contracts to make fighter jets and stuff.
One of the things that these new companies like Palantir are kind of helping to disrupt, which is probably good, is the system of prime contracting and defense contracting. We have a few big contractors that have these giant contracts and they have cost overruns. That's one reason the Pentagon's budget is so big.
Margaret O'Mara is a historian and professor who studies the modern history of American politics and business and how they overlap.
And this is something that policymakers have been pushing back against for decades and trying to rectify. So yeah, having more companies in the ecosystem, that's probably really good.
Hey everybody, just popping in here to say happy birthday to Jeremy J. Watkins. Jeremy is a man whose information I bought from a third-party data broker. I happen to enjoy collecting people's data and presenting it around my house. Now, if anybody wants to send Jeremy a gift in person, he lives on 28 Stowe Avenue in Huntingburg, Indiana, and he recently searched for cheap fleece pullovers and hemorrhoid ointment. And if you don't like how I was able to scrounge up all that data on Big J here, then I suggest you look up something called Incogni. Incogni is an online service that ensures your personal information stays off data broker and people searching sites. Folks, you never know where your personal data might be after you spend time surfing the web. Targeted ads, random newsletter signups, and unwanted spam emails all end up being ways that your info gets slurped up by the bad guys and later put into my personal prized collection. Incogni works by scanning all the people searching sites you may have been linked to and sending them requests that they get your personal data out of there. Then they continually track down and add any new data brokers to your profile that might try to sneak in there after you've made an account. Right on. Haha, right on. And if you go to incogni.com/goodwork, then you get 60% off an annual plan. So if you don't want your data shopped around the shadowiest realms of the internet until I print it out and hang it in my guest bathroom, then check out Incogni. Palantir is at the front of a new group of companies who say they are going to disrupt the old, slow, bloated defense primes with their new, efficient, innovative, user-friendly Silicon Valley style. Because you know, you either die making boring old fighter jets or you live long enough to see someone come along with their own swarm of autonomous attack drones.
They've made a ton of really senior hires from US government agencies, and also a number of really senior Palantir executives have been appointed by Trump to senior government positions.
Palantir has been hiring well from, I guess, the pool of people that know how the government system works.
Tabby Kinder is the Financial Times West Coast finance editor, and Cynthia O'Murku is an investigative reporter for the FT. Together, they wrote a piece about how successful Palantir has been at landing government contracts, pointing out that the company has done quite a good job of cultivating, shall we say, intimate, toe-tickling relationships with governments.
Palantir has been built on people from government. They are obviously informed. They're people that work on these really crucial missions and in the armed forces and all those sorts of places where Palantir has traditionally sold its business.
And boy, have these boys been selling some business. Palantir has landed over $1.3 billion in Department of Defense contracts since 2009. This is for stuff like the Army's Vantage Data Analytics platform, this James Bond-style AI satellite computer suitcase, an AI-powered drone system called Project Maven, and Titan, the Army's first AI-defined vehicle, which promises to do things like reduce sensor-to-shooter timelines, reduce soldier workflow burdens and cognitive load, and enable long-range precision fire for the modern battle space. Basically, stuff that not only goes vroom vroom and pew pew, but also beep boop beep. Scary shit here, folks. But Palantir's government contracts extend well beyond the military. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the U.S. contracted Palantir to track outbreak data and set up a system to distribute vaccines. More controversially, Palantir reportedly helped Immigration and Customs Enforcement with all sorts of stuff, including a surveillance system to plan and organize workplace raids on an original contract worth as much as $127 million. During the 2010s, the New Orleans Police Department ran a secretive partnership with Palantir to test predictive policing technology, which could have been named Minority Report if we had any taste. Around the world, Palantir's tech is being used by the Ukrainian military, by the Israeli military for, quote, war-related missions, and by the British government to overhaul the technology behind the NHS, England's state-run health service, which oversees one of the biggest repositories of individual patient data in the world.
So in the UK, it became quite a controversial, set of contracts that were implemented. The UK government had opened itself up with open arms, or welcomed Palantir with open arms, whereas civil liberty groups and groups with privacy concerns were a lot more skeptical. I think there's been a lot of concern around Palantir and what it really means for them to provide these services, and especially privacy advocates have been very concerned about its offerings, and Palantir has pushed against a lot of this concern. But I think it is about transparency and how much access can you get and what can you do behind the scenes that another company cannot, and that is being done outside the purview of the public.
And even with all of this government work lined up, Palantir has still managed to girl boss its way into an impressive book of commercial business. Banks and government regulators use stuff like Palantir's anti-money laundering and customer data tracking products. BP has been a longtime partner, using Palantir's software to support its digital transformation program. Palantir's chief technology officer tweeted last year that the company's
No, I'm not taking a dump.
include United Airlines, Lowe's, General Mills, and
Would that be a problem if I was?
General Hospital. By Jove, they've even got their paws in big pickleball.
Just
Neighbors,
watching.
If you think pickleball paddles are loud, just wait till you hear motherfucking Titan rolling down your street. It's the Army's first AI-defined vehicle, folks. Long-range, precision fire for the modern battle space. Overall, Palantir's commercial revenue in the United States jumped by 54% last year. A lot of that momentum driven by Palantir's pivot from data surveillance in their early years to AI products today. Now, the honchos who originally created this sprawling Palantir beast are none other than Peter Thiel and this guy, who looks like if Taika Waititi got electrocuted. His name is Alex Karp. Though Thiel tends to stay in the shadows like the sassy little mystery minx he is, Karp is one of those modern tech CEOs who says a bunch of crazy shit to feverish crowds of employees and retail investors that he calls Palantirians, leading them like mother flippin' Caesar Augustus.
It's definitely been in this kind of meme.
This guy's not funny.
Reddit retail army category for a while. The subreddit for Palantir traders is...
Karp is Jewish. Karp is Jewish. I'm not so sure Peter Thiel is, though. He kind of looks like he is, but I'm not sure that he is. I think they say he's not.
People now, they refer to Alex Karp, the chief executive, as Daddy Karp. He's really responded to that by saying kind of increasingly, I'm trying to find a polite way to say this, just increasingly...
He's tight with Barry Weiss, too. I just saw her name up there.
Out there things in his interviews.
That's right, Tabby. It's always dangerous to start calling rich guys daddy because you never know what they're going to feel emboldened to say next.
Me as a front man offending half of America. I don't think in win-lose. I think in domination. Almost nothing makes a human happier than taking the lines of cocaine away from these short sellers. I love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us.
And now, despite whatever...
Totally a guy I would trust.
On good old American Fent P, Karp is a tricky figure to pin down. Yes, he partnered with Peter Thiel, the notorious far-right libertarian who backed Trump's 2016 campaign and bankrolled J.D. Vance's political career to build a data surveillance company for hunting down terrorists, all stuff that might be easy to generalize as...
Okay, everybody in the chat saying he's Jewish. What's the proof of that? Can you link some proof?
Conservative. But then again, he backed Kamala Harris during the latest presidential election. He frequently donates to Democrats. He likes to go trail running and loves Denver. All stuff that might be easy to generalize as lesbian. Everybody? I think we got a new type of guy on our hands.
Karp is someone who comes from a kind of left-wing background. Peter Thiel, who's the founder and really the person behind Palantir, is famous in the Valley for being a very outspoken conservative or a techno-libertarian. They have these really interesting, strange bedfellows in terms of leadership, but I think they have something in common with the old style Valley, of the Valley of the Cold War era, in that there's this understanding that there is a partnership that's necessary between private industry.
It says on Wikipedia he's Jewish? No way.
And
really?
The defense establishment in order to get the best tech in the hands
Why didn't you link
the
it?
U.S. government. And it's waxed and waned, but there's always, the business of war has always been Silicon Valley's business. business to some degree.
The relationship that Alex Karp and Palantir are
early life check
in the tech industry and the Department of Defense isn't so much a new status quo as it is a fresh version of an old one. Karp is very open about being a fan of the old school tech industry, one where Lockheed Missiles in Space was the largest employer in Silicon Valley through the 1980s, one where the Department of Defense built the original internet, one where
doesn't say it on
Oppenheimer's Manhattan
Wikipedia
Project
when I look.
brought together the finest scientific and engineering minds in the U.S. to collaborate with the government. In his new book, which I read on the subway and was then immediately hit on by a very Ford attack drone, Alex Karp argues that the tech industry has lost its way over the last few decades, focusing on consumer products that essentially abandon any serious attempt to advance society. He writes that the software industry should rebuild its relationship with the govt, and while the blending of business and national purpose makes many uneasy, it is now the job of Silicon Valley to defend the West. And it's here that Karp has differentiated himself from his 21st century tech contemporaries with how open he is about both patriotism and making tech products for killing. But his peers are starting to follow suit.
Dude, this guy's voice, the way he talks, is just irritating me.
He is always
like, I am the reporter on the street and I talk like this and blah, 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 blah. It's
these ties with Washington.
just so
DC,
fake.
But often has been very low-key about it and coy about it and pretended that, oh, we don't do anything with those people over there. They're like, we don't care about politics. It matters nothing to our business.
Hold on, guys. Are you confused? I said Karp is Jewish. Peter Thiel is not. That's what I was saying.
We're a free market miracle. And in the background, they're like, can I have this tax break? I'm interested now. It's just more overt. And now I think there's a more broader public consciousness of like, oh, wait a minute. People like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, they get a lot of federal contracts.
Now, despite Karp and Palantir's very real momentum, it doesn't mean that they are that close to revolutionizing the defense industry and unseating those old defense primes.
They have yet to prove that they can build a major weapons system better than a Lockheed Martin, Boeing, or Raytheon. They may have their own views on that, but when I look across at like what's being used in Ukraine on a mass scale, that is not yet the Palantirs or Andurils of the world. Doesn't mean they won't do it, but they have yet to prove they can.
Nonetheless, it is possible that Palantir will be the future, and if they are, then the approach that they have taken to rise to prominence. Well, this would all mean an entirely new paradigm for how American defense companies operate.
You don't typically see the heads of Lockheed Martin or Raytheon giving opinions about how the world should be ordered. Lockheed Martin is not trying to appeal to the day traders or to the meme stocks or to any of that. Palantir they're kind of trying to sell themselves to the nation writ large. I think that is part of what is new in this era, is Silicon Valley companies saying working with the Pentagon is not a dirty business. It helps national defense. These are good things to do. And clearly their message is working. Will that work in the long term? We'll see.
Indeed, we will see. For now, though, in the meantime, I've got my eyes on you, Palantir, and I encourage all my fellow citizens to do the same. For if a defense company thinks that it can... Oh, shit.
That's funny.
And now for a dramatic reading.
Okay, done with him. Done with him. All right, guys. Now you know about Palantir and Russian propaganda and how Christianity destroyed Western civilization, did not build it. Thanks all for watching. Thanks everybody for the support and the donos. I'll be back tomorrow. If you guys want to support the channel and help spread the message, I still have a few shirts left. Don't miss out on this limited edition design, the Viking Owl and the Viking Longboat. Buy both, get free shipping. Support the channel, spread the message. I love you all. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Have a nice night. Appreciate it. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say in the comments. Share the link, give it a like, clip it up, share the show, and have a nice night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Down with Yahweh, hail the old gods, of course. knowmorenews.org/store for the t-shirts.